morning, everybody. How are you? It's nice to be here again. Nice to be seen again wherever you are, however you may be listening to us. Thanks for making us part of your day. It's Thursday. We made it through hump day. One more day till Friday. We did it. I knew that we could. I knew all you guys could make it too. So thrilled to be here. We got a lot to cover today. And it's kind of, does anybody else feel like when I put this together this morning, sometimes it feels like we have to cover the same news every day because this administration trots out the same lie every day. And it's like it's getting old a little bit. Does it feel old to you guys? Like we legitimately have to have this same conversation every single day? Just the administration. What's that?
It's like wash, rinse. It's like wash, rinse, terrify every day.
Yeah, like their base is just so like gullible and bought in that it doesn't like they just get exposed every day, and then they're like, so, and we're like, all right, good point. It's a good point. So, I don't know what to do with this.
It's so, and then it's you took it wrong. He didn't mean that.
That's right.
They didn't mean that.
Do you want to tell the people that you're leaving early today? So they can get
I'm
mad at
leaving
you.
Early today.
Jen's choosing a lunch date over us.
You're so dumb.
Jen sent me a selfie this morning. She's wearing a sundress, and she's going on a lunch date.
No, I'm going to a funeral.
No, you can call it whatever you want. There's drinking involved.
That's true. That there will be drinking. It's
the day Jen sends me a selfie. Well, I think I would assume that you had been like kidnapped, that you were being trafficked.
That it was against my will.
Yeah. Okay. Good morning. Yeah. Here's my outfit today. Yeah, I wouldn't know what to do with that. I probably just canceled the show. Yeah, fit check. OOTD. I quit.
Get ready with me.
Is that what? Oh, that's what GRWM is. I didn't know what that was.
Ready with me. Exactly. No, that would be that's probably why I couldn't do like any of those cameo or I think they were. I can't be nice like that or
that's just can't be nice. I can't be nice.
That would just be awkward. I don't know.
Can you do one, please?
I can't. Like, if I was gonna flirt with someone, if I'm flirting with someone, you have to be able to kind of talk shit to me, or it's just not gonna work out. I'll just
like, shut up, you dumb bitch.
Not even that. Not that far. But you got to be able to stand up to me. If you can't stand up to me, you won't last. So.
Do you do pet names?
No.
What's like the? What was that answer?
No.
What about like? What's the nickname? Like you got? Are you like a boo? You say boo?
I'm probably more of a babe than
You're
anything.
Babe.
Probably more of a babe. That's about it. So.
Interesting. That's about it. What about like baby?
That feels awkward to me. Not gonna lie. Like the whole baby talk in general. Like when my spawn was a baby. I couldn't even baby talk her. Like it's something that like makes my eye twitch.
Pookie? So, no Pookie? People are wondering.
I know Pookies. No. Anything like
Daddy? What about Daddy?
Do you want to go there?
kind of today. We'll see how I handle it. Yeah.
I mean, if there's no clothes on and things are being done right.
Jesus, never mind. Yeah, never mind. Change my mind fucking immediately. Never mind. Right. So when you're in the shower is what you're saying. You call people daddy.
I mean, you wanted to go there. You knew better. So.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do a Ask Jen Anything segment to start things off. You want to do that, Jen?
Sure, we can do a couple of those. Why not?
All right. Actually, the whole show today, you can super chat Ask Jen Anything.
I mean, I am leaving probably around 11:30 Pacific time. So I mean.
Do you want to set a minimum on the dollar value for a super chat?
$5.
$5. Ask Jen Anything, and you'll answer.
Should it not? What did we used to do for the one? Was it 5 or 10 when we did that one? That one day do you remember?
I don't know what you're talking about. What are you talking about?
When we did it was a joke thing. Like you had remember we sent in jokes for.
Like when I got my Venmo canceled?
No, that was a different thing. But
Okay.
I mean, yeah, sure. Or actually, let's do 10. We'll do 10.
Oh, Jesus. We're really stepping it up now. All right.
Well, it depends. I mean,
hey, this is you. Hey, this is you. Know your value. I love it.
I mean, let's.
I don't mean to diminish your value. That's my bad. I shouldn't have done that.
It's fine. It just depends on the question. So we could do. Yes, we're like brother and sister more than anything. Like
best friends. I think we share our feelings together a lot.
Best friend bracelets. So
it is interesting how I don't know. I know a lot of you aren't new here. Like it is interesting how this came together. How Jen wound up being like in charge. It just kind of happened.
It did.
Like Fee was helping me out, and I had like a team of moderators, and then Fee left. I don't remember did we have a formal discussion or did it just happen? I honestly don't remember.
Well, IB came to me originally.
Okay.
Because
shout out IB if is he still around? I need to message him. I haven't talked to him for.
I've seen him here and there, but
okay.
Yeah. So he asked me to if I wanted to help, mod stuff because I mean I find things.
It's true.
Easily.
It's true.
So yeah, that's how. And then it just evolves. I don't know. I just took control.
Yeah, my first memory of you being around was I don't know if it was a mod meeting or what it was, but it was you and somebody else. I don't remember who that person is either. It's a good story. It's a good start to the story. And you two were just making fun of me a lot. That's all. That's the first I really remember you being around. And then you just never left. And now you tell me it wasn't. It was a woman. But I don't remember. Well, you know who I could tell you who it is. I'm not going to tell you.
Oh, you don't know, but you know. Got it.
I know.
Got it.
I know how they left the Discord, and it was not a happy thing. So.
Got it. Yeah, that makes. Yeah, I remember. So yeah, no. If you want to do it, ask me anything. $10.
There you go.
Sure.
Did I clear my search history after yesterday? What did we look in the search history?
I don't know.
Did I do some weird searches yesterday?
I don't think so.
Can we pay for tea time where we hear the drama of history past? I think it's I think it's ask me anything. I think you can ask anything. Jen is not in Arizona, but she doesn't tell people where she lives. So
no, I say I'm in California. I just don't say specifically where.
There you go.
I say northern. I'm in Northern California. Is what I say.
Okay.
But right. So when Venmo did come through. Thanks,
that's
Jeffrey.
Right. Good. Real quick, Damien sent a Cash App this morning at 8:00, so about an hour and a half ago, my time, 45 minutes ago, hour and 45, and said starting the fuck Robert dollar train early. So that's still going. If you remember yesterday, we ended with fuck Robert. Robert, if you're here, I appreciate you, bud. That got started early. Sorry, Jen, I cut you off.
No, it's fine. So Jeffrey said, and this is painful to read. I'm just going to tell you. Hi, beautiful, lovely, and sweet Jen. Hi, Jay. Show work for you. Trump just mentioned fucking Pearl Harbor and oppressor with Japan's prime minister.
Did he mention Pearl Harbor or did he mention fucking Pearl Harbor?
The way it's written here, it says Trump just mentioned fucking Pearl Harbor and oppressor with Japan's prime minister.
I swear to God, I opened Twitter. It's right on top. So let's see. Did he just say this is the Japanese prime minister? Now, this isn't on the outline, but I was I don't remember who I was listening to. I think maybe I don't remember who it was. Apparently, the Japanese people oppose the Japan working with us in this war by like 80%. Like 80% of the country says no. So I think Trump's there to try and get to Japan to. God damn it, that is ugly. That gaudy. Would they put gold in the fucking fireplace now?
Or those? It looks like pee.
It does. It does. Golden showers, yeah.
It looks like pee. It's gross.
It makes it makes everybody look bad too. Like it makes everybody look like they have jaundice. Not good.
So another Venmo came through, said, "Hey Jay and Jen, thank you so much for all you do. Listen from Gilbert Daily, and you guys keep me sane. Keep up the good fight. F Trump, MAGA, ICE, Robert, and I always text."
Let's see
Jen, favorite cereal? I don't usually eat a whole lot of cereal. For breakfast, I'm more of a bagel kind of a person. But if I was to eat cereal, cinnamon toast crunch, probably something like that.
Jen just eats human souls. That's how that's all of her sustenance.
Exactly, that's how I survive.
All right, let's see this video.
Of course, no, Japan and US are very good friends. But one question, why didn't you tell US allies in Europe and Asia, like Japan, about the war before attacking Iran? So we are very confused about we Japanese citizens.
Well, one thing, you don't want to signal too much. You know, when we go in, we went in very hard, and we didn't tell anybody about it because we wanted surprise. Who knows better about surprise than Japan? Okay? Why didn't you tell me about Pearl Harbor? Okay? Right? You know, he's asking me, do you believe in surprise?
Yeah, they were all there, Don. They all heard the question. You don't need to explain it. Jesus Christ.
I think much more so than us. And we had to surprise him, and we did. And because of that surprise, we knocked out, the first 2 days, we probably knocked out 50% of what and much more than we anticipated doing. So if I go and tell everybody about it, there's no longer a surprise. Right?
Good, Donald. Yeah. He learned what a surprise was. Jesus Christ. All right. Good for you. Brianna said, how much to have Jen as my dommy mommy? I just want her to bully me.
I think we talked about stuff like this before. I think we said like at least $100 minimum. I think we talked about this before.
That feels like a good deal. You're cutting it. I think Jen might be into that. I think that's the lowest. I did not think she was going to go that low. Yeah, good for you, Jen.
Well, we can negotiate. So
she's starting at 100 and you can go lower? That's incredible. Greg says, fuck a bunch of Roberts. And Heather says, fuck Robert and my Antifa dues. Thank you, Heather. Appreciate that very much. All right, Jen, anything else we need to cover before we get started?
Let me see if there any more Venmos came through.
What if they want you to beat them up a little bit, like physically?
That could result in charges, so probably not. Probably wouldn't be a good idea.
F. Mary Unalives would be good, and guys, and just include people like HVAC and
no.
And
Janelle sent, I don't like when you're late. My anxiety starts raising a rising, thinking you're not going to show up. Thanks for being here.
Well, don't tell her I was late. I was like 8 minutes late.
So, and then, so I'll just do my announcements. So yeah, just like we said, I mean, there's different ways to help knock out that gift goal. So Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Super Chats all go towards knocking down our gift goal. We do this each day, Monday through Friday from 9:30 to 1 Pacific time. If you're not a subscriber already, please do so. You can, if you subscribe on any of the platforms where you're watching, you can join us for members only events. We have one coming up on Monday. We'll be watching the Manosphere documentary that's on Netflix. So if you aren't a subscriber and want to join us for that, do that. Subscribe and you can join us for that on Monday. Check out the link tree in the bio. We're on most social media platforms. We've got merch. Jay's on Cameo. We upload these episodes to Spotify. And if you guys disagree with Jay, you can come up, and how you do that is you send me a message on Discord and I can bring you on.
Somebody do that today. Can you guys convince somebody to talk to me today? I thought this morning of like doing a TikTok live just to talk to Republicans. I'm so tired of the same 4 bots in the chat every day. So try and encourage them to come up and talk today. I'll try and be less rude.
You know they won't.
I know.
So, but did you hear that somebody threw a beer at Trump?
I didn't. No.
Don't worry, it was a draft. He was able to dodge it.
That's pretty good. I like that one. All right. Thank you, Jen. Appreciate it. All right, let's jump into things today. And I don't cover a lot of news outside of politics, but I've always resonated with this person as somebody who has ADHD. I've always struggled with procrastination, especially if I just really don't want to do something, or even if I do really want to do it, I just wait till the last minute. And I didn't know that this person wrote the theme song to my life until much later, because this song came out in the 2000s, maybe 2000. It's got to be like early 2000s, like 2000, 2001. And at the time, I was still in my cult. I was still very much Mormon, so I didn't know he had written the theme song to my life. But as I've gotten older, 40 years old now, I understand every lyric from this man in a much more deep way. And unfortunately, he has now got himself into some legal trouble, although he seems to be winning the court case. Of course, we're talking about Afroman. Of course, we were talking about the song Because I Got High. And if you are not following the court case with Afroman, you're missing out. But let me see if I can catch you up to speed. Some police officers raided his house. I don't exactly know. I think there was like a warrant for like kidnapping or something. They broke down his door. I think they shattered a window and they came into his house. And now he is suing them. But in true Afroman style, very patriotic, by the way, he has also been having a lot of fun with these police, and just a reminder, ACAB always. And so I'm going to show you a couple of clips from what's been happening in his court case. First, lawyer asks him, because now the police officers are suing him for defamation because of the songs that he's been writing about them and the things he said about them. And so the lawyer asks if he'll stop talking about the cops who, again, illegally raided his home. And here's his answer.
Your house
He won, though? Is it over? Okay, it might be over.
gave you the right to do everything you
Under the
did.
circumstance that I got freedom of speech, after they run around my house with guns and kick down my door, I got the right to kick a can in my backyard, use my freedom of speech, turn my bad times into a good time. Yes, I do. And I think I'm a sport for doing so. Because I don't go to their house, kick down their doors, flip them off on their surveillance cameras, then try to play the victim and sue them.
You were at Lisa Phillips's deposition, correct?
Yes, sir.
In your lawyer's office.
Yes, sir.
Same office where you filmed part of that video last Friday.
Yes, sir.
And you saw how upset she was when she was answering your lawyer's questions about how this had affected her, right?
Yes, yes,
And you saw your attorney say, do we need to take a break?
yes,
And you saw her say, no, let's go on and get this over with.
yes, sir.
You saw all that.
Yes.
You knew she was upset.
Just like she knew I was upset when she was standing in front of my kids with an AR-15 with her hand around the trigger ready to shoot me. Just like she knew I was upset when she cut my cameras. But I'm not a person, she is. So I'm sorry for being a victim. Let's talk about the predators.
Okay. So you saw all that. You saw how upset she
Yeah,
was.
thank you. Set underscore. Will you stop bullying the police, please?
You heard the testimony about her children. You heard the testimony at the depositions about Randy Newland's daughter who came home upset. You heard all that, but you're still posting stuff about
Yeah,
it.
because I understand it was Randy's fault and all of their fault for coming in my house in the first place. So if they hadn't came to my house, their children wouldn't be saying nothing. None of this would be going home if they did their research and did things right. So all of this is their fault. And now they want to sue me for their mistake.
Well, they want to sue you because you were funny, mostly, I think. Alex said, what's the difference between Iran and Vietnam? The answer to that, of course, is that... where did that go? Come back. Come back. Trump had a plan to get out of Vietnam.
Is there anything that could change your mind about what you're doing to these deputies?
Is there anything that can change my mind about the fact that they shouldn't have been at my house in the first place? Is there anything that can change my mind about how my money shouldn't have been touched in the first place? No.
That's all the questions I have.
I love him. It gets better. Somebody said they posted something in Discord. If we don't have it, we'll do it. But Then on his lawyer gets a chance to talk to this officer, and this officer, who's now retired, he was a deputy, is asked why Afroman keeps calling him Officer Pound Cake.
Pound cake by Mr. Foreman?
Multiple times.
You
You
were
received hundreds of pound cakes at work.
He received hundreds of pound cakes at work. That's unbelievable.
From different people.
Why are you complaining about that? This sounds like it was a win.
Okay. And the context of that name comes from a music video that Mr. Foreman created, correct?
I don't know where he got it at, but you'd have to ask him that question.
Yeah, well, we'll show you.
Adams County Sheriff kicked down my door. Then I heard the glass break.
You would admit that you with the
He was
glasses
kind of
walked by
vibing with it.
someone pound cake on the counter?
Yes,
And that is security footage from the search of Mr. Foreman's residence?
I assume, yes.
But there's no question that's you during the search.
Yes.
There is question or there's
No, that was me, yes. Absolutely.
All right. So beautiful. We get the video there, and then is this which one's this? Hold on. Here's another video he put together, and then we'll have the one he put out today.
Randy Walters is the son of a bitch. Yeah, that's why I fucked his wife and got filthy rich. Fix my dough. Stop stealing my dough. Stop disconnecting my video. Fix my dough. Stop stealing my dough. Stop disconnecting my video. Fix my dough. Stop stealing my dough. Stop disconnecting my video. Fix my dough. Stop stealing my dough.
All right. So then this makes its way into the deposition. They have to talk because of course they're accusing him of defamation, and so they then ask the officer from that video about this particular song. I would have dropped my defamation case right now. I'd have been like, I'd like to go home now, please. Not this officer. He's trying to get that money. Let me read a couple here. Janelle said, I don't like when you're... Oh, I got that one. That one. Oh, those were the ones you read already. Okay, got those.
So you're claiming that is the defamation statement is that he said he had sex with your wife?
Yes.
Okay. And that's painted you in a false light?
It's caused tremendous pain in my life.
I'll get to that. We have to go through false light first. So does it paint you in a false light?
Yes, that my wife is cheating on me with Mr. Foreman.
But we all know that's not true, correct?
I don't know.
He has to say that so that he can win the court case. Because if it's not true... Dude parts his peninsula. That's brutal. Beth, that's brutal.
Wait, you don't know if your wife's cheating on you or not?
You want to go there?
No, I just want to ask that question because you said we don't know. I just
Been
need
with
the
that
answer.
woman since middle school.
I know.
I would hope she wouldn't. But you know what?
What?
Once somebody puts it out there for their fun and entertainment, it's out there.
That's true.
And it's a problem.
So it's something we cannot verify the truth of?
We covered, Harry, we watched Nick Shirley busting fraud yesterday. We watched the whole video. It's trash. Is that Chuck Liddell?
Is it a thing that can be verified, true or false?
Ask your client.
All right. And then I guess this is what came out today. Where is it? I saw it. I just haven't watched it yet. It's out on Twitter, though. The Bataram of the police whistleblower. All right.
Mine eyes seen the corruption of the Adam County cops, stealing money, stealing cake. When they make they traffic stops, first they screw you, then they sue you, play games and dismiss your claims. The proof's on the internet.
Oh, sorry, Harry.
Afroman will bring
My bad, Harry. Sometimes I overreact.
it to ya. Afroman is gonna do ya. Afroman is gonna screw ya. My proof's on the internet. Mine eyes have seen informants get busted with felonies. Tell the cops I'm a kidnapper and I sell a lot of keys. Raid my house and then get pissed, 'cause the dungeon don't exist. My proof's on the internet. Afroman will bring it to ya. Afroman is gonna do ya. Afroman is gonna
Can we just ask what is going on with his property, though? This does look like a place that you might imprison people.
screw ya. My proof's on the internet. My gate don't operate and my door is on the floor. My camera's disconnected. Lisa Phillips is up. Downtown they take my mama's lemon pound cake. My proof's on the internet. Afroman will bring it to ya. Afroman is gonna do ya. Afroman is gonna screw ya. My proof's on the internet. They vandalized my property, my money came up short. They disconnect my cameras because they are a poor sport. They're the predators and the victims and they're suing me in court. My proof's on the internet. Afroman.
He is MAGA. Holy shit. Afroman did recently align himself with the MAGA crowd. All right. I guess he met Trump at the Libertarian National Convention and said Trump likes his Hunter got high track and his lemon pound cake album.
We'll bring it to.
Oh, then he said, I'm not supporting him. I just met him. Maybe not.
Ya. Afroman is gonna do ya. Afroman is gonna screw ya. My proof's on the internet. Brian Newland is a flag. William is a pedophile. If I'm telling folks the truth, how come I have to go to trial? Newland sexting kids, that's true. Now he's stealing my money too. My proof's on the internet.
Well, if he won his case, those are some wild accusations that he must have had proof for.
Afroman will bring it to ya. Afroman is gonna do ya. Afroman is gonna screw ya. My proof's on the internet. Tasha Chamblin is a confidential informant. Roy Gabbard is the judge that signs fictitious warrant. This whole situation is totally their fault. Don't rape me, don't get videoed and caught. Afroman will bring it to ya. Afroman is gonna do ya. Afroman is gonna screw ya. My proof's on the internet. Prosecutor David Kelly turned to jelly when they fell. Coward ran to Arizona so he wouldn't catch the hell. Kimmy tried to dodge us. Rogers tried to retire and dip like a rat leaving a sinking ship. Afroman will bring it to ya. Afroman is gonna do ya. is gonna screw ya. My proof's on the internet. All you crooked cops in the world that's doing wrong, you better stop, you crooked cop, before I put you in a song. Make your family and your friends laugh out loud and sing along. My proof's on the internet.
All right, I can't do anymore. That's incredible, though. I didn't know that trial was going on. It just came to my attention yesterday, and I didn't really know. And then it was all over my Twitter this morning, so I'm late to the party. But sounds like a lot of you guys were ready for that. Guys, DNC Warrior said, please pass to Jen. This might be worse for me. Jen, you here? I can't read this, actually. Jesus Christ. Never mind. I take it back. I cannot read that. Jen, I'll send you a screenshot. Never mind. DNC. I'm trying to keep my channel alive. I cannot read that out loud. All right. This is just something to keep an eye on. I don't know if you guys have heard about this. William McCasland, who he was a retired Air Force general. Maybe he's not even retired, in New Mexico, who has...
I'm here. I just couldn't. It wasn't. Every now and then when I try to come back to this chat, it doesn't unmute right. So, yeah, I guess send me the screenshot.
I will. Anyways, William McCasland, as a whistleblower and as somebody who has a lot of history working with, obviously in New Mexico and with the Air Force, may have a lot of knowledge about UFOs, has just suddenly went missing.
Mexico, and the latest on the urgent hunt for a retired Air Force general who vanished nearly 3 weeks ago. The FBI is now helping local authorities in the search for William Neal McCasland. Investigators say the 68-year-old former general had some sort of brain fog before he disappeared, but they stress that he was not cognitively impaired.
There's no indication, and we are not putting forward, that Mr. McCasland was disoriented, confused. Arguably, he would still be the most intelligent person in the room that any of us would be in. Highly intelligent, highly capable, but that information was given to us early on, and out of an abundance of caution, we escalated to a silver alert.
Now, before retiring, General McCasland oversaw a highly classified program linked to UFO research. And many are wondering if that secretive work past and researching UFOs could have made him a target somehow. Even if you're a UFO skeptic, it's hard not to be curious about another strange aspect of this case. A former colleague of General McCasland's, who also disappeared, also under strange circumstances last summer. Is it all a coincidence? Let's go to Alex Capriello, live in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Alex, what are you hearing about not one, but two disappearances?
Yeah, very strange, Elizabeth. We've been spending the day digging into this missing persons case of Monica Reza. She vanished off the face of the earth about 9 months ago.
If they're going to get to this in the video, but he just bounced. Like, he was last seen walking away. He had on like a backpack. He left his cell phone. It's a really, really bizarre story.
Hiking in the Los Angeles forest with a companion. By all accounts, everything seemed normal that day. She was about 30 feet behind that person she was hiking with, smiling and waving. He turned around. Next thing you know, she was just completely gone. Rescue teams spent days looking for her, but actually never recovered her body. But what's so interesting about this story, Elizabeth, is that she is essentially connected with General McCasland right here in New Mexico. She's an aerospace engineer, and she developed a special metal that was used in rockets. It was a project that the U.S. government funded and something that was overseen by the general. And now, all within less than 1 year, both of them have essentially vanished off the face of the earth. We don't know whether or not these missing persons cases are connected at this point. But I did tip off the Bernalillo County Sheriff's Department about it, asked if this was a lead that they were investigating, and we're still waiting to hear back. But here's what we do know, that critical timeline for the disappearance of the general. At the end of February, he was last seen chatting with a repairman inside of his house. His wife left for a doctor's appointment at around 11 o'clock in the morning, and then by noon, he was completely gone. on. His wife reporting him missing after that. So obviously this is an ongoing story with search.
Do we have people from, somebody said it's a big story here in Albuquerque. Christina did. It is the weirdest fucking story.
And rescue efforts still happening here on the mountains. We're going to continue.
Especially hers, right? Because she's just behind the guy. She just vanished on a hike together. We know what happened. Got the aliens? Maybe.
To cover it for you.
In fact, like the part where they say she had developed like a new type of, what did they say, type of metal? Back in my Joe Rogan days, I used to listen to Bob Lazar and talked about like how they would come across these materials that they could not they couldn't explain. They're like, these materials do not exist here on Earth, at least not that we know of.
Elizabeth. All right, Alex Capriello live in Albuquerque. Thank you.
Thank you for watching.
Anyways, yeah, thanks Cuomo. That's what we needed, is you. So we'll keep following that, but I want to make you aware. And if anybody comes across some reporting on that I miss, please send it to me. I'd like to follow up on that. Yesterday, while we were live, Jerome Powell went and made an announcement on the state of the economy. And you guys might be surprised. This might surprise you. It's not going as well as Trump says it is. In fact, some might say it's not going super well. Jerome Powell also isn't signaling the end of times, which is good. But the fact that like a lot of our numbers are relatively stable, not necessarily in a great spot, and yet they're keeping these rates the same, tells me that they're at least aware of some of the stuff that we've talked about with the overextension of private equity money and the circular way that they funnel money to each other to artificially raise the price of their stock so that they can buy more companies and accumulate more assets. But here's Jerome Powell yesterday.
This is Fed Chair Jerome Powell taking the podium.
Good afternoon. My colleagues and I...
Oh, sorry. Draco's Rose says it was done to, talking to Afroman, it was done to the Glory Hallelujah. Who knows how many verses it has? I think that's called the Battle Hymn of the Republic. I think that's why I called it the Bataram of the whatever. But yeah, I don't know how many. Does anybody know how many verses that song has?
I remain squarely focused on achieving our dual mandate goals of maximum employment and stable prices for the benefit of the American people. The U.S. economy has been expanding at a solid pace. While job gains have remained low, the unemployment rate has been little changed in recent months, and inflation remains somewhat elevated. Today, the FOMC decided to leave our policy rate unchanged. We see the current stance of monetary policy as appropriate to promote progress toward our maximum employment and 2% inflation goals. The implications of developments in the Middle East for the U.S. economy are uncertain. We will remain attentive.
This is now like the fourth or fifth time in a row that when he's come out, he said, here's our indicators. But based on what the administration is doing, based on the last time it was the tariffs and the time before that was the tariffs, but it's always been uncertainty. Like they can't really change these rates because the policy that is directly affecting the economy is really, really unclear from this administration.
Risks to both sides of our dual mandate. And I'll have more to say about monetary policy after.
He'll explain how it's possible that we've lost job, but unemployment hasn't changed.
Briefly reviewing economic developments. Available indicators suggest that economic activity has been expanding at a solid pace. Consumer spending has been resilient, and business fixed investment has continued to expand. In contrast, activity in the housing sector has remained weak. In our summary of economic projections,
the other thing to remember is like he's just looking at total numbers, right? So when he's talking about investment into companies, that doesn't necessarily mean that broadly across the board it's good for us. We know that investment in like small to mid-sized companies are down. We're shuttering those, but we still have massive investment coming into, you know, specifically like tech companies. I know there's been a lot of investment in like oil infrastructure. And yet I think BP announced yesterday they're doing mass layoffs. So I don't know where that money's going.
The median participant projects that real GDP will rise 2.4% this year and 2.3% next year, somewhat stronger than projected in December. In the labor market, the unemployment rate was 4.4% in February and has changed little since late last summer. Job gains have remained low. A good part of the slowing in the pace of job growth over the past year reflects a decline in the growth of the labor force due to lower immigration and labor force participation, though labor demand has clearly softened as well.
Okay, so that's the story. Not only is there less people in the labor force, immigration. I don't know why he's leaving it out, but we also have an aging population and the replacement levels are lower than an aging population, so that matters too. But again, somebody pointed it out. If we are losing people, then you would think that you would expect to see the unemployment rate go down and not up or remain the same. So I think what we have here is that we have a participation rate dropping and we have jobs being replaced by technology. And so the unemployment rate is ticking up, even though there should be like less competition for jobs.
Other indicators, including job openings, layoffs, hiring, and nominal wage growth, generally show little change in recent months. In our SEP, the median projection of the unemployment rate is 4.4% at the end of this year, and edges down thereafter. Inflation has eased significantly from its highs in mid-2022, but remains somewhat elevated relative to our 2% longer-run goal. Estimates based on the Consumer Price Index and other data indicate that total PCE prices rose 2.8% over the 12 months ending in February, and that excluding the volatile food and energy categories, core PCE prices rose 3.0%. These elevated readings largely reflect inflation in the goods sector, which has been boosted by the effects of tariffs. Near-term measures of inflation expectations have risen in recent weeks, likely reflecting the substantial rise in oil prices caused by the supply disruptions in the Middle East. Most measures of longer-term expectations remain consistent with our 2% inflation goal.
Yeah, Powell will be threatened, although no MAGA is able to understand what he's saying. They just know that the rate didn't change. Trump said rate go down, rate not go down, we mad.
The median projection in the SEP for total PCE inflation this year is 2.7% and 2.2% next year, a bit higher than projected in December. Our monetary policy actions are guided by our dual.
It's not, Jeremy. That's not supply and demand doesn't work in this scenario. I don't think. Demand is down, so we don't have the jobs. Like we still have a lot of job openings. That's the interesting thing. So unemployment is going up while we still have a significant amount of job openings, and we also have people leaving the labor force. Right? Unemployment wouldn't go up if job openings were going down. Unemployment would go down.
Mandate to promote maximum employment and stable prices for the American people. At today's meeting, the committee decided to maintain the target range for the federal funds rate at 3.5 to 3.75%. From last September through December, we lowered our policy rate 0.75 percentage point, bringing it within a range of plausible.
Why do we do that, Mr. Miller? I've got a question. Why do we always do that? What is this need, like this reaction, this consistent reaction from some people to always just blame lazy Americans? Why not look at the data and address like what's actually happening? Why is it always when a Republican is in office and you get bad economic numbers, it's, oh, Americans are lazy? Who's lazy? Who are all these lazy Americans besides like the boomers who are all retiring? I mean, there's tons of people that we interact with daily that are working 2 and 3 jobs, more than full-time hours. They can barely afford to live. It's just I don't do that. It's such a dumb way to look at these economic numbers. Certainly, there is some element of people who are too lazy to work, but those people generally, if they stop participating in the workforce, if they stop searching for a job, they're removed from that equation anyways. But I don't know why we do that. Well, I don't know. I'm not saying it's a red or a blue thing, but what I am saying is that every time we show bad economic numbers under the Trump administration, that is the response. And I can tell you that as somebody who covered unemployment numbers under the Biden administration, that wasn't really the excuse that was given. There's just always this, and I think that this is like conservative ideology. I think that it explains why we can overlook such cruel behavior. Is because I think Americans are just used to things working out. And so when something goes bad that they don't want to address, they just like, oh, it'll work out. This is just how it always goes. And to some extent, that's true. But it masks the part where we hurt people during that time when we don't have to. Right? Just because it has historically worked out and it historically corrects itself doesn't mean that there's not things we could do in the interim to make those peaks and valleys less severe.
Estimates of neutral. This normalization of our policy stance should continue to help stabilize the labor market while allowing inflation to resume its downward trend.
Well, then, Mr. Miller, if you always watch it that way, I just respectfully, It's an overly simplistic and kind of dumb way to look at it then. Right? Like when unemployment went up during COVID, was that lazy Americans? No, it was COVID. I just think it's an overly simplistic way to dismiss these numbers.
Toward 2%. But the implications of events in the Middle East for the U.S. economy are uncertain. In the near term, higher energy prices will push up overall inflation, but it is too soon to know the scope and duration of the potential effects on the economy. We will continue to monitor the risks to both sides of our mandate. We are well positioned to determine the extent and timing of additional adjustments.
This is interesting looking at the 30-year treasuries, that those are dropping. And not really related to what he's saying right now, but one of the concerns that a lot of economists have right now is that the way that we fund our government is through debt, through treasury bonds. And the market for treasury bonds has softened. When you see these numbers drop, this means people are selling their treasury bonds at a discounted rate. And it's much harder. Then it's hard for the government to sell their treasury bonds because sometimes you can get them cheaper on the market. So we've got problems here. These are real concerns. The fact that we can't get rates to do anything but stay still says that we are just in really, really uncertain economic times. And as much as I respect Jerome Powell's experience as an economist, the one thing we know about Jerome Powell specifically and the Fed Reserve Chair historically is that they often see things in a glass half full light that it doesn't always mesh with the data that we're seeing. I would imagine that had there not been political pressure, we might see rates rising right now.
To our policy rate based on the incoming data, the evolving outlook, and the balance of risks. In our SEP, FOMC participants wrote down their individual assessments of an appropriate path of the federal funds rate under what each participant judges to be the most likely scenario for the economy.
Yeah, exactly. Bonds are shitting because we've lost global legitimacy. But also, like, global legitimacy, I think that's part of it, but nobody trusts us. Nobody trusts what direction we're about to go. We've had so many weird fucking policies that, like, defy math. Like the tariffs. Trump's tariffs were a catastrophic mistake, and we're going to have to pay them back. So if you're looking at a country that's run by Donald Trump and everybody's just taking this idiot's advice, why would you feel more secure? If I'm going to go buy a 30-year treasury bond, and let's say that my APR on that, my annual percentage that I'm getting back from the government, let's say that it's like 6%. Well, if I'm going to buy a 30-year bond and I'm looking at the instability of this country, I'm going to say, you know what, maybe I want 8%. It's not really worth it for me to invest here at 6% because that's more risk than I really want to take on. At 8%, maybe I'll take a little more risk.
The median participant projects that the appropriate level of the federal funds rate will be 3.4.
Benny said it also could be that places have phantom positions that they list in places like Indeed, but never expect to feel true. Yeah. There's been some really good journalism on that, especially at like tech companies that just leave the same job open, and it's been the same job open for 8 years.
4% at the end of this year and 3.1% at the end of next year, unchanged from December. As is always the case, these individual forecasts are subject to uncertainty, and they are not a committee plan or decision. Monetary policy is not on a preset course, and we'll make our decisions on a meeting-by-meeting basis. To conclude, the Fed has been assigned 2 goals for monetary policy: maximum employment and stable prices. We remain committed to...
We're not doing that. They've got their work cut out for them. Stable employment. I mean, I guess stable employment, it's going up a little bit, but like pricing's been a nightmare.
To supporting maximum employment.
Why is everybody asking if Netanyahu's dead? Is there a story that Netanyahu's not alive anymore?
Bringing inflation sustainably to our 2% goal and keeping longer-term inflation expectations well anchored. Our success in delivering on these goals matters to all Americans. We at the Fed will continue to do our jobs with objectivity, integrity, and a deep commitment to serve the American people. Thank you, and I look forward to your questions.
He hasn't been in public. Nobody's seen him. I don't see anything. Chris Van Hollen, I guess, said that he's not. This was from Zateo yesterday.
You are privy to intelligence that the American public does not have access to. You sit on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, so I've got to ask you a question the entire internet is dying to hear the answer on.
How did I miss that? Like, I checked out yesterday. Admittedly, I wasn't on my phone at all yesterday after the show. I didn't get back on until like 4:30 this morning. But
is Benjamin Netanyahu dead?
Yeah. You know, this is the kind of thing that the internet now is famous for. I mean, it is hard to believe anything you see sometimes on the internet. This is the latest example.
You didn't say no, Senator. That's what people on the internet are going to notice.
No, he's not dead.
Okay, just checking.
All right.
Just checking.
Man, we have a different internet. Those haven't circulated for me. I haven't seen that anywhere. So we have a different internet. That's cool. All right. This was from Mr. Global. One more thing on economics before we get into the Senate hearings yesterday. I think somebody told me to play this yesterday, but here's Mr. Global. I saw yesterday that, or this morning, I guess, that the way our oil is trading, like that on the markets, it's like, what are we at? Is it right around $100 a barrel? But then like internationally, it's trading between 140 and 170. So we have this weird disconnect between the markets. There's almost no scenario, and I'll lay out some math here for you in a couple minutes, but there's almost no scenario that gas doesn't continue to keep rising.
We are a net exporter of oil. Our nation. They're the problem, not us. They've got the trouble.
Do you know what that is right there? That is every Trump voter that voted for Donald Trump because they thought he was only going to do all of those bad things to other people and not them. Yeah, that's what that is right there. That is a Fox News host saying, we're not going to be in any kind of trouble with this Iran thing. We don't get oil from there. It's their problem. And she's talking about the allies that won't help us. This is going to happen to them, not us. So it doesn't matter. This is when a lie is built on another lie that was built on another lie. Right before this, she said, we're perfectly fine because of drill baby.
Will said MAGA wants interest rates as low as their IQs.
Drill, a thing that never happened. Never mind the fact that she's claiming something is not going to impact us that already is impacting us. Now, pretty soon.
That's pretty peak MAGA. It's not going to hurt us. Have you seen the gas prices like overnight, just 20 cents, 10 cents?
And when it becomes so obvious it's impacting us in a terrible way and they won't be able to deny it, they'll just blame it on something else. The average price of diesel nationwide is over $5 a gallon now. The average price of gas is going to hit $4 a gallon this week. Write it down, take a picture, whatever, it's happening. Shipping fuel around the world that carries all of the goods that we buy from other countries to us is at record highs. Higher than it's ever been in history. Wholesale inflation just hit 3.4%. I don't know what to tell you, but that's going to be over 4% on the next wholesale inflation report. We are already about to see fertilizer.
Justin said, I love the Powell brought graphs. DJT will be shatting himself. He's thrilled.
Shortages, and it's already at record.
Brent crude hit at 111 last night. Damn.
High prices, and it's being shipped on ships that are paying record amounts for fuel. This is going to impact our crops.
Brad, it's so good for green energy, to be fair. It would be good for green energy if we didn't have administration currently that just attacks green energy. If only. I got rid of my car a little while ago. I wound up getting an electric vehicle. I can tell you it cost me, I think it was like $15 or $16 to get get the battery charged to like 70%. So if you have an electric vehicle, you're probably not sweating it so much.
Food prices are going to go through the roof. But no, it's not affecting us. It's just affecting them. Typical Trump voter attitude. If I don't think it'll hurt me, I don't care. Yeah, because surely we all remember that verse in the Bible that says, if it doesn't affect you, fuck them. Yeah.
It's one of my favorite verses.
The unbelievable, just delusional denials of these people moved far beyond just being funny years ago. This is no longer about pointing and laughing at stupid people. And since the United States and Israel decided to strike the largest producing gas field in the world today because they're angry at our allies for not helping them, there is a very
We're kind of left too with like two conclusions to draw from this Trump administration. Either one, they just don't fucking care, Or two, they are all so rich and so disconnected from reality that they don't understand what like $1 a gallon price change means for an average American. It's one of the two, but either way, and then like pair that with why the fuck are we bombing Iran? Can someone tell us, please? No, the president just felt like there was a good thing to do. He was will scaled.
Chance that now Iran decides to do exactly what I told you would be the worst thing they could do yesterday, and that's striking oil storage facilities, which would be worse than the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. If they don't do that,
Yeah, it could be both. That's true.
they're going to start striking oil and natural gas production fields, which is nearly just as bad. They've already said they're going to do it. The United States and Israel are purposefully escalating this war and commodity prices to a point trying to force allies to join when they have no choice. And that is going to make the consequences that we all pay significantly worse. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Really appreciate my followers and subscribers. Have a good day.
Someone in Congress today said this could take 5 years for us to recover. For sure. It's going to take a long time. Let's actually talk about that. I want to move into. We had some congressional hearings yesterday, or Senate hearings yesterday, and these were our intelligence.
Now recognize the vice chairman.
Mostly, I think we're mostly just going to cover. I don't think I have anybody but Kash and Tulsi here. But we had them yesterday, and one thing that's really interesting is Kash Patel and Tulsi Gabbard. And it seems maybe everybody in the Trump administration, after the disaster of Pam Bondi and the adversarial nature that MAGA appointees bring to these congressional hearings every single time, they seem to have toned it down, or they're just in over their skis. But what was painfully obvious in watching this is that not a single member of our intelligence community can tell you why we're at war. Legitimately, when you break it down, and we'll show time and time again this example, every one of them is just like, yeah, well, Trump gets to decide. But what we don't have is any knowledge or intelligence that there was an imminent threat or that we should be at war. There's no Republican who has come out and explained it. There's no Democrat. There are some Republicans who have been honest and been like, I don't really know why we're doing this. And then there are others who are like, there is an imminent threat, but then they all say the same thing. It's been going on for 47 years. They chant death to America. They killed their own people. None of those things are imminent, nor a threat. They fake WMDs. Oh yeah, the WMDs. I forgot. I'm sorry. But here we have, this is Mark Warner and Kash Patel here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and let me also offer a good morning to our witnesses. Let me also join you, Mr. Chairman, begin by thanking literally the tens of thousands of men and women across America's intelligence community who work every day to keep our country safe. Their work is by necessity secret. That is the nature of intelligence. But that is also why hearings like this one matter so much.
Just a reminder, as this gets rolling, these are going to be longer videos, so I'll forget to make announcements, and then Jen will yell at me, and she's going to leave early. So just a reminder, we are crowdfunded, so anything you can do to help us knock out our daily gift goal, that's how we pay our bills. Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Super Chats, of course, gifting over on TikTok. We are still doing the $5, is it $5 Ask Me Anything, I think, or was it 10, Jen? No, I don't remember. What do we decide on the Ask Me Anything? Well, I'm going to say 5. $10 for Jen Ask Me Anything. Any other comment, I'll be happy to read. But while we're going through this, I'll try and keep an eye on the chats. If you have questions, I'll get to them as fast as I can.
Over the past year, we have seen a series of developments that raise serious concerns about the erosion of safeguards that protect both our democracy and our security. And nowhere is that more worrying than when it comes to the integrity of our elections. For decades now, our intelligence community has warned that foreign adversaries, including Russia, China, and Iran, are actively seeking to shape
thanks, Everyday Insanity, for the gifted subs. Appreciate that.
The outcome of American elections. These efforts have included cyber intrusions, disinformation campaigns, and covert influence operations designed to divide Americans and undermine our confidence in our democratic institutions.
I'm not doing this with you today. The Jaka, one chance. Apologize for saying that I'm defending Iranians, because I'm not. Or we'll just get rid of you today. I don't have, like, I'm tired of you saying dumb dicks every fucking day. You have to say RTP has not defended the Iranians ever, or you can leave. We'll stop it right there for a second. We're not going to do this shit today. We'll wait. I'll give you 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, mods, if their next comment is not an apology, just get rid of them for today. 24 hours.
Protecting our elections from these threats should be one of the intelligence community's highest priorities. The DNI is supposed to be coordinating intelligence on foreign election interference, warning the American people about adversaries seeking to undermine our democracy, ensuring that federal, state, and local officials have the information they need. Congress even required the creation of a foreign malign influence center inside the office of the DNI to coordinate the intelligence community's response to foreign election interference and ensure that these threats are properly shared across the government. That is the mission Congress assigned to the DNI. But while foreign adversaries are actively probing our democratic institutions, the DNI has eliminated the Foreign Malign Influence Center and does not have a designated official coordinating the response to election threats. And for months, the committee has repeatedly requested briefings from the IC, briefings that are required by law on legitimate foreign threats to the midterms. We have received no response. Now, that silence, I believe, should concern.
Is that concerning? That should be concerning. Wherever you stand politically, it should be concerning that our government gives us no answers. And when the people that we hire to have oversight over the intelligence communities, when they can't get answers, that should be concerning. I'm always very concerned about people who are like, nice, dude, that's a Dem, so don't tell him anything.
Every member of the committee, because it clearly demonstrates the DNI is not interested in protecting American democracy by combating foreign
Jeremy, I prefer that you guys do have different opinions than I do, but you can't have a different opinion on what I said. You can't just make up things that I said. Quit crying, though. Make an argument. We'll discuss it. I want you guys here and making arguments. It's the same dude every single day saying the same thing, and it gets annoying. However, just a reminder, if you are here and you disagree with something that I'm saying, you also are welcome to come up here. You can message JenDub1 on Discord. She can bring you up. You can join the show. You can use your own goddamn voice. I don't know how many streams you guys go to where a host consistently invites you guys to come and share your opinions, but you are invited to have a voice. You just don't get to lie about the things that I say.
Influence. Instead, unfortunately, we have seen the DNI involve herself in purely domestic matters. Last month, we saw Director Gabbard personally participate in a law enforcement raid to seize election ballots and voting machine records in Fulton County, Georgia. A raid tied to an election that the president lost 6 years ago. When the warrant supported—
What a good use of money to relitigate the 2020 election. It's such a good use of money.
The raid was unsealed. It showed something deeply troubling. There was no foreign connection to justify the involvement of our nation's top spy. Instead, the predicate for the warrant was a slop of debunked conspiracy theories that had already been rejected repeatedly by courts, by independent investigators, and even by Georgia's own Republican Secretary of State. Yet the nation's top intelligence official was personally involved in this operation. This raises one very—
I didn't think you could get dumber. You've had the worst takes the whole time here. 2020 was stolen. Yeah, for sure, dude. For sure it was stolen.
Serious question. If the intelligence community is not being deployed to mobilize against foreign threats, why is it being deployed at all on a domestic issue? The DNI's appearance at this raid, as well as their involvement in seizing voting machines from Puerto Rico, suggests something that should also alarm every American. I believe an organized effort to misuse her national security powers to interfere in domestic politics.
Remember, we still don't have an explanation for why Tulsi Gabbard was there when they seized the voter rolls in Georgia. She's over national security. She'll be asked later to explain it, but we have no explanation as to why she was there. She would be worried about like foreign interference. But if you go and you can read like the request for the search warrant, you can look at the search warrant. There's nothing in there about foreign interference. It seems like she was a prop.
And potentially provide a pretext.
If half the country thinks it's stolen, then perhaps this deserves an investigation. There's been like hundreds of investigations, David. The problem is that half the country don't actually follow any of this. And if they don't get the ruling that they want out of the courts, they just say it was rigged and they demand investigations until they get the answer that they want. That's the problem. This has been investigated in Fulton County. It's been investigated in Arizona. The two counties where they have seized voter rolls have both had multiple audits and multiple investigations. And there's nothing there.
For the president's unconstitutional efforts to seize control of the upcoming elections. Now, don't take my word for it. The president has repeatedly pushed for the nationalization of our elections, calling for federal government to override the state election laws and, quote, take over voting while continuing to make false statements about election fraud. And we have heard troubling rhetoric from senior officials.
Sunlit Angel, I think you're mixing up Arizona and Georgia. I think Arizona's the one that found out that Biden got more votes than they initially thought.
That reinforce these concerns. As former Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem said publicly, we've been, and this is a quote, we've been proactive trying to make sure we have the right people voting, electing.
Not all the cases were dismissed based on standing. But some of them were, and standing can also mean that you don't have any evidence, right? But yes, some of the times there was no standing. Some of the cases were heard, but none of them provided any evidence. And we did 5 audits, all controlled by Republicans in Arizona, and found nothing but that Biden won by a little bit more. This is a pipe dream that you guys are living on. And the only reason that you're all still saying it is because Trump is still saying it. Nobody would be saying this anymore if Trump wouldn't shut the fuck up about it. But Trump will not accept a loss ever because he's a crybaby bitch. And that's the only reason you guys are still talking about it. It's the only reason they seized these voter rolls in Georgia and in Arizona. Everybody does what he wants, including you.
The right leaders to lead this country. At the same time, the administration has brought into government individuals promoting conspiracy theories about our elections. The so-called White House Director of Election Security and Integrity, Kurt Olson, played a key role in efforts to overturn the results of the 2020 election. Now,
That's such an easy one. I don't know why you guys struggle with this. Like, if the election wasn't stolen, how did 17 million votes suddenly disappear when Kamala? That's not how voting works. Less people voted. The people weren't enthused. They didn't think that Joe Biden did a very good job. A lot of people didn't show up to vote. There were a lot of people on the left that didn't show up to vote. Why is your conclusion the most, like, if you know what Occam's razor is, it's like basically you say, like, what's the most likely conclusion for why this happened? Why do you guys always go to the most insane conclusion? And your conclusion doesn't make any fucking sense. And let me explain why your conclusion doesn't make any fucking sense. Because somehow the Democrats were able to rig and cheat the elections when Trump was president and in control. But then when the Democrats were in control, they were unable to cheat. Is that the claim here? When they didn't have control, easy to cheat. Full control, can't cheat. It doesn't make any fucking sense. It's just a wish. You want the election to have been stolen. You don't want to admit that Trump lost, but he lost. And the reason he lost is because he did a bad job. His first 4 years were not good. He can tell you over and over again that they were great, but everything he says, every economic number he points to, Joe Biden beat. And every economic number that he pointed to was like as historic highs. Obama had those historic highs too. He points to the stock market. He looks at unemployment. Joe Biden beat all of those numbers. The reality is people watched what Trump did. They didn't really think he did a great job, and they went to Biden. That's what happened.
Holds a position inside.
Say we have the Roto-Rooter man running DHS. Pooh runs downhill. Running DHS. Pooh runs downhill, and payday is Friday is the plumber's slogan. Crazy. He's talking, of course, about Mark Wayne Mullen, the Roto-Rooter man.
The federal government with the authority to refer criminal investigations and access our most sensitive security.
That's a good point. They live and breathe God of the gaps. Yeah. If they can't explain it, then it therefore must be not a conspiracy, but then it must be fraud.
Information. All supposedly doing his witch hunts around elections. As a matter of fact, according to the court filings, he helped trigger the FBI seizure of the ballots in Fulton County. So it's worth asking, why is someone whose career has been devoted to undermining the legitimate results of a democratic election now operating from inside the federal government with access to law enforcement and intelligence authorities? What exactly has he been empowered to do? As members of our committee know, this committee was created in the aftermath of the unconstitutional abuses exposed after Watergate. The guardrails have been built around our intelligence and law enforcement agencies over the past several decades exist for a reason. Without them, America begins to look more like adversaries.
That's a good point, Ed and Patriarch. If Dems did rig 2020, why didn't they rig it to give Biden a supermajority in Congress?
Emphasized in this year's annual threat assessment: China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, and less like a democracy. Confronting these very clear and present threats to American security requires experienced professionals in intelligence agencies that are focused squarely on their mission. Instead, over the past year, we've seen actions that only serve to weaken them. Politically motivated purges at the FBI has resulted in the exodus of hundreds of agents and the reassignments of hundreds more from key national security areas like counterintelligence, counterterrorism, and cyber, and where they've been redeployed to? Immigration enforcement. In one troubling...
Super interesting, right? Where are we having all these problems now? This is what you get when you all listen to Donald Trump. Absolute chaos. Oh, TikTok went down. Did we lose TikTok? Oh, yeah. Bye, TikTok. How the fuck am I going to show a congressional hearing and get taken down by TikTok?
Case. Agents working on a task force focused on threats from Iran, clearly something that's pretty damn important right now, were dismissed because they had previously participated in the investigation of the president's mishandling of classified information. Elsewhere,
I'm going to jump through here a little bit and get to talking to Kash Patel, but let's go. Okay, it's in the next video. Okay, so that's the basics of what we're going to cover in this hearing today. Now I want to get to Jim Himes talking to Kash Patel, and here's where we get into Kash Patel, low energy Kash Patel, by the way. But now you'll see a pattern that you've seen time and time again. People afraid that work in this administration to tell the truth. People afraid to say something contrary to what Trump said. So when you get in this sticky situation where you're in front of the Senate and you're supposed to tell the truth, but if you tell the truth, you know it's going to directly conflict with what Donald Trump says because Donald Trump's a fucking liar, then you just have to stop asking questions. And that's where we've really come to, like with this administration, is we can't have answers for anything. And the people on the right aren't going to put any pressure on Donald Trump and Republicans to get answers because everybody is loyal just to Donald Trump. This has become you are either a normal human being or you are just rooting for Donald Trump to win every argument, to win every engagement, and to never disrespect Donald Trump. And that's where, like, you want to talk about the downfall of America, that's where we're at. You call him a liar with no evidence? Okay. How about when he says that the election was stolen? How about that? How about when he said that we completely obliterated Iran's nuclear capabilities? How about when he said we had an imminent threat? He lies about everything. You're going to see it here. They're going to lie about a million different things. But even you, like every fucking human being on earth has lied. I pointed to Donald Trump, a politician, by the way, a dirty businessman, and you're like, yeah, right, dude, like he's ever lied. What the fuck? Like, what kind of shit is that? How is there a human being that works in Washington that you're like, no, they never lie? Every one of them has lied. I think you're kind of proving the point here that your allegiance is crazy. It makes no sense. If somebody says something about Donald Trump that is negative, your first thing is like, he would never. He doesn't do anything wrong.
Director Patel, how many
Yeah, how about when he said he talked to another living president the other day? Thank you for bringing that up. And saying that they wished they would have bombed Iran. And every living president's like, no, we don't talk to him. What are you talking about? That didn't happen.
citizens have been convicted of voting in U.S. elections in the last 10 years?
Sorry, let me start that over.
Director Patel, how many non-citizens have been convicted of voting in U.S. elections in the last 10 years?
The conviction stats are with the Department of Justice. I defer to them on that.
You are the director of the FBI. Give me a guess. How many convictions in the last 1 year, 5 year, or 10 year? Ballpark.
I don't have that with me, sir. Again, it's with the department.
You don't have that with, okay. Director Patel, how many active investigations does the FBI have into foreign individuals voting in U.S. elections?
We have a number of investigations, generally speaking, ongoing about individuals across the country.
Yeah, I'm asking for that number.
I don't have that number with me, but I have a number of them.
You have a number of investigations.
So you can't tell us how many people have been convicted. Can't tell us how many investigations that they have into people who are citizens of other countries who voted in the election.
Okay, is that number 10,000? Is it closer to 10,000 or closer to 10?
It's probably somewhere in between.
Okay. Will you please provide the committee with that number?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Director Patel, since you don't have the numbers, would it surprise you to know that the Heritage Foundation, which is not exactly the Columbia University Faculty Lounge, found only 77 instances of non-citizen voting in the 24 years between 1999 and 2023, each of which faced investigation by the appropriate authorities. So Heritage has a number of 77 examples in 24 years. Does that number surprise you?
No, because it's low.
So you thought it was going to be low?
I don't understand your answer.
You asked me if I was.
Are you disputing that the number is in the range of 77 examples of non-U.S. citizens voting in U.S. elections in a 24-year period?
I just said that number is low.
You think that number is low?
But you just told us you don't have the numbers. The Department of Justice has those numbers. Do you think they'll have any answers? Let's count the amount of times they have an answer to a direct question.
Okay. So why, if this is a meaningful issue, do we have no, and I guess I direct this to Director Gabbard, why is there no mention of this thing that will grind the American government to a halt for a 2-week period in the worldwide threats analysis?
This annual.
What he's saying there, the SAVE Act, right? We're currently at a standstill in Congress, arguing over an issue that does not exist. And when they delivered their threat assessment to the Senate here, there was no mention of a threat of people interfering in our election, like foreign entities interfering and voting in our elections. So why are we ground to a standstill? Why are we pretending like the SAVE Act is super important if our own intelligence agencies aren't even including that? They're not even going to bring it up. None of them seem to have any evidence that any of this is happening.
Threat assessment was shaped around the national security strategies, prioritization of threats to our nation and our nation's interests. There are multiple platforms and venues where there have been and there will be reporting on threats to our foreign threats to our elections.
No answer? Why not? All right, let's moving on. Here's Himes now directing questions at Gabbard.
Gabbard, as was well covered yesterday in January,
Sorry for the
you were
audio on this
present
one.
at the execution of an FBI warrant at the Fulton County, Georgia election office at the direction of the president and to all appearances in connection with the president's false claims about the 2020 election. The unsealed affidavit submitted by the FBI made zero reference to foreign powers or outside interference. I don't want to relitigate the reasons why you were there, but I do want to know whether as a result of your visit there is credible intelligence in your possession pointing to foreign interference in Georgia in the 2020 election.
Once again, nobody can tell us why she was there. And in the warrant and in everything that the affidavit that they unsealed, it doesn't say anything about foreign interference. Doesn't even, in fact, if you go read the affidavit, most of what's in that affidavit has already been litigated and found to be untrue. But they found a judge who was also a election denier who was willing to issue the warrant in Missouri.
Thank you for the question, Ranking Member. As you know, over each of the previous elections, there is an ongoing effort by different foreign entities.
Ma'am, it's a very specific question. Is there intelligence in your possession relative to foreign interference in the 2020 elections? Very simple, straightforward question.
We are continuing to look at previous attempts to interfere in our elections.
No, they're just relitigating what has already been litigated because Donald Trump is a toddler. Yeah, who said that? He's a baby. He just can't take a loss. So we now, like, our intelligence agencies have been hijacked by a toddler who can't admit that they lost. And we have to waste all this time in Senate hearings.
And any ongoing threats that may exist for the upcoming elections.
Okay, but can I assume that the answer to my question is no, that you have no specific intelligence related to foreign meddling in the Georgia election?
We are continuing to look into this matter.
Okay. Director, the ODNI.
All right. Now, on to the ODNI. I think actually he was going right into that right there, which is the National Intelligence Office.
Director, the ODNI has confirmed on the record that your office took custody of voting machines from Puerto Rico last May. I'm not aware.
Now, when the Georgia election, or when they seized the rolls in Georgia, some of the reporting that came out, specifically, like, I think we covered Jesse Waters and everybody on Fox News, they tried to make this link. They were like, well, obviously there's something going on because they seized machines in Puerto Rico, so this must be connected to Puerto Rico. So this is why you asked this question, because for a lot of MAGA folks and for a lot of people who have been forced to defend this, because once again, Donald Trump's a toddler, but everybody's afraid of him, they have been leaning on this argument that, oh, there is a concerted effort. Look, we got stuff from Puerto Rico. Look, now we went to Maricopa County. There must be something here.
Of any previous DNI taking similar actions. Did your office promptly notify the committee about taking custody of Puerto Rico's voting machines?
I don't believe we did. However, this was done at the request of the Puerto Rico AUSA attorney.
Ma'am, it's a yes or no question.
The
answer, as you have acknowledged, is no. You did not inform the committee about the taking of a territory's voting machines. Is there a specific foreign threat? And I've read the reporting that you were looking for possible foreign threats, but is there a specific foreign threat that drove you to take this action?
There were questions about whether or not there were vulnerabilities that a threat could have taken advantage of, and that was the purpose for their requesting us to look into those vulnerabilities.
Where are those voting machines now?
I believe they are held in a secure facility at ODNI.
Have you or other ODNI officials taken...
Can I just point out, like, I don't even know that they're lying here. This is a different hearing. Like, this isn't Pam Bondi covering up the Epstein files, which we'll get to in a minute. But the reality is they are on a witch hunt. trying to prove Donald Trump was correct about the election being stolen. We are wasting resources and time. We're firing people who don't agree with Donald Trump just so that he can have these petty little battles. I don't even think this is like a cover-up. I don't even think that they're not answering questions. There's no answer to any of these questions because there's no threat. None of the intelligence that they've been given to go and take these actions is based on reality. And so there's not really a good answer for any of this. There's like, well, here's why we went. We were told to go. What'd you find? Nothing. Where are the machines now? I don't know. I think they're in a secure facility. What'd you find out? Nothing. There was nothing there.
Any other state or territories voting equipment into custody?
Not to my knowledge.
To our MAGA friends, how come nobody here at Kash Patel, Tulsi Gabbard, why can't they point to any information that the election was stolen? Why are you so quick to believe that the election was stolen? When people come in and they testify under oath, and those are the people responsible for national security, they're not saying, I can't tell you, it's classified. That would be a different answer. They're telling you, like, no, we don't have any evidence. There's no evidence here. Why doesn't that change your mind? Is MAGA still, any of you still here? Can you explain that? Why you have no evidence, they have no evidence, nobody has any evidence, but you still somehow believe it? I have a problem with them having the machines. Yeah, same. I mean, they're the machines from Puerto Rico, but the vulnerabilities in the machines have already been exposed. It's not like it's not like these are top secret that they couldn't get access to anyways. It's a Trump donor that owns Dominion now, so I mean, they can get that. Okay, today let's you answer. I'm calling on you. You blame L. Ron Hubbard. I mean, this is one of those times when we ask MAGA a direct question and they just go quiet. This is generally the case. I don't even know if they're trying to justify a third term, Young King. I have no idea what they're trying to do. I don't believe that at this point. I don't think they don't seem to have a plan. I really just think that this is a toddler kicking and screaming. They lose every fucking court case, every fucking one. None of this is going to go anywhere. Nothing's going to happen in Fulton County. Nothing's going to happen in Maricopa County. They will find nothing. And they probably won't even really act on it. Just the fact that they have seized these roles. I mean, have you heard anything about their investigation since they seized those roles? No. They're just they do this all the time. They just keep kicking the can down the road, and it's all just to appease Donald Trump. They can't really investigate. They can't really give you updates because there's nothing there. But they don't want to make him mad, so they just keep telling him, like, we're working on it. We're going to work on it. We got this. Leonardo, you've used the same joke, get a real job, like 50 times. We hear you, bud. We hear you. You don't need to keep spamming it. I'm going to keep doing this job. I'm sorry that bothers you, but come up with some new stuff, okay? All right, let's go. I want to go here. So yesterday, for whatever reason, kind of out of nowhere, James Comer calls Democrats and Republicans together and says, we're going to have this, we're going to have a hearing with Pam Bondi. And it was sold to Democrats, if you believe what they have to say, that it was just going to be a briefing. And Pam Bondi has been subpoenaed. I think she's supposed to come in like April, like the second week of April. And so suddenly you have Pam Bondi and Todd Blanche coming in, and it was supposed to be a briefing, but then when they get there, it's just like, no, you each have 3 minutes to ask questions. Not under oath, not being recorded, not being transcribed. The Republicans thought the solution and the transparency that everybody was looking for on the Epstein files was a closed-door, non-transcribed, non-recorded session where you can ask questions. So Democrats participated, Republicans participated, but it obviously went off the rails. And here comes Comer out, I think this is it, right? After the meeting to immediately smear and blame Democrats for this surprise meeting that he put on them.
The fact that we have a lot of dead weight on this committee, and the behavior of the Democrats yesterday was unacceptable. And, you know, we're going to have to come back and talk as a conference, the majority, to see what we do moving forward. But
he just said we have to bring us to get the majority. Now we got to figure out what we're going to do as Republicans. This is a fucking cover-up. And James Comer is actively involved in the cover-up. You know why they did that? You know why they did this? So that they can say Pam Bondi and Todd Blanche are just, well, I guess Todd Blanche hasn't been subpoenaed, but they're going to use this as an example, and they're going to say, oh, now Pam Bondi doesn't need to come before Congress. We're not going to enforce that subpoena. We're not going to hold her in contempt because look what happened when we brought her in last week. The Democrats behaved so poorly. 100% Dreamliner. This is a 100%, a totally planned, scripted event. You can see their messaging was prepared. They came out with it. Pam Bondi is feeling herself now. They will do anything to not get Pam Bondi under oath and on a camera. They are actively covering up the Epstein files, and it's not just the abuse of women. It's also the connections to Israel, who has drug us into a war. The buffoonery and the cuckery of you MAGA folks to just stand by and let them do this. This is the most obvious scripted play you could possibly see out of Congress. How in the fuck could you be MAGA and listen to them, and I'll let Comer keep going, but listen to them tell you that, yeah, the reason we can't have transparency now is because we had a totally non-transparent interview with Pam Bondi that you can't see and you can't get a transcript of, and there will be no history. And we're going to come out and tell you that now she's not going to testify because Dem's bad. Do you have evidence of that? No, because we didn't record it or transcribe it. If you can't see through this, I guess your life is just set up to be lied to.
We had the sitting attorney general and the top brass of the Department of Justice there yesterday to answer questions. And you know, they were wanting TV cameras in there, and you know why, so they could show out and get on MSNBC and be outraged.
Well, I don't care why they wanted it. Why would we want it? So we know what the fuck anybody said. Nobody trusts members of Congress. Why in the world would we trust any of you? You got to record that shit. We're not just going to take your word for it.
But there's an ongoing investigation. And if you're mature, credible members of Congress leading an investigation, you don't want that televised.
But fair enough. Fair enough if you don't want it televised, but you definitely want it recorded and transcribed, which you also didn't do. Why is he not telling that whole story? Why is he only telling this part? Because he's involved in the cover-up. He's got the pressure too. He's aging terribly. This second Trump administration has not gone well for him. This is tough.
But you want to get information that will hopefully lead to criminal referrals and lead to accountability.
Leonardo, you said just like the Clintons, they lied. At least you know that the Clintons lied. I don't know exactly what you're referencing there, but the Clintons were on video. It was transcribed. Even this, this is what I don't get about you, man. Like any of you. Why the fuck can you not just address what's happening? Why can't you address that they put Pam Bondi and Todd Blanche behind closed doors with no transcription and no video that would come out later? It's fine if you nobody here is going to defend the Clintons. I promise you. Nobody here is going to defend Bill Clinton. I mean, Hillary Clinton, I think it's a little bizarre that she was there, to be honest. After seeing the deposition, it was like, wait, well, you guys are just asking her questions about Bill at times when you weren't around. So I don't know why she was there. But are you just, do you just purposely miss the point so that you can continue to suck Donald Trump's dick in your mind? Is that the goal here? I can never admit reality. I must just blindly defend this administration. Okay, thank you. All right, Leonard, I apologize for that. Okay, well then acknowledge that. Why are you bringing up the Clintons? Why are you even talking about the Clintons right now? Not only is Pam Bondi guilty, Leonardo, so is James Comer. James Comer's actively covering it up. And why is Donald Trump not out there saying that Pam Bondi needs to be transparent and honest and be on video and have a transcribed interview? Because he's covering it up too. It's interesting how you guys are so willing to loop everybody in on the cover-up, unless it's Trump, in which case, no, it could not be him.
And to do that, you can't do that in public. So we had the sitting attorney general there last night, and they stormed out, and they were outraged.
Austin, we've acknowledged that a million times, that the previous administration didn't release anything. And Trump wouldn't have released it. And now you acknowledge this. Trump had to be forced to release things. And I'll acknowledge that. Merrick Garland had from 2023 until the end of Biden's term to release the Epstein files, didn't do it. Biden didn't pressure him. Republicans didn't pressure them to release the files. Democrats didn't pressure them to release the files. Nobody ever, Republican or Democrat, ever put pressure on the DOJ to release these files. It's only happened one time. And who put the pressure on? Now you have to acknowledge this. 100% of Democrats voted for the discharge petition and like 6 Republicans. So the only time that either party has put pressure on the Department of Justice to release the Epstein files, 6 Republicans, every Democrat voted to release it, and all of the other Republicans said no, and Donald Trump started threatening everybody. Don't vote for the discharge petition. So now you have to acknowledge that, please. Let's be transparent here, Austin. Can you acknowledge that? That 100% of Democrats voted to release it and only 6 Republicans? Let's see if you can be honest. Can you acknowledge that the Trump administration threatened people not to vote for the discharge petition?
So, look, I don't know how to answer your question because I wasn't expecting that. I thought everyone would be happy that, that I was able to get the Attorney General to come in for a briefing and they pull a stunt like that.
But does that count?
All right, now here's the stunt that he's claiming they pulled. Here is Congresswoman Lee, I think. Yeah, right here. Here's what he is saying is, and by the way, his story and her story do match up here. I'm just showing it from her mouth, but the Republicans aren't disagreeing that this is what happened.
To our lawful subpoena in a deposition. So instead I asked Chairman Comer if he would compel her to come to our deposition. If she did not come, would he force her to, or if he would move for contempt hearings as he did for other people who did not respond to our subpoena.
Now, nobody should be surprised that Pam Bondi wasn't answering questions because she doesn't. We've all seen her. Everybody knows that Pam Bondi's a liar. I don't even think that that's a partisan thing at this point. Like, Pam Bondi sits in front of Congress, lies, and plays stupid games. So Representative Summer Lee just turned to Comer, who's leading, and said, hey, if she doesn't show up, are you going to hold her in contempt? That's a good question. I don't know why anybody would think that's a bad question. Of course, that's a good question to ask Comer.
Instead of answering as an adult, he said that I was bitching, which is, again, something that would not be allowed if we were operating under the rules of this committee, because engaging in personalities is actually something that we are not able to do. If C-SPAN and the public were there, I'd imagine that he would not act that way. Neither here nor there, we expected AG Bondi to be adversarial. We expected her to be confrontational. And we expected her to not offer us much information. But that's why I introduced impeachment articles, because she has already been obstructing justice. She has already weaponized the DOJ. She has already ended investigations into Trump and his allies. She has used this role essentially as one to help the president. She does not answer to the president. The DOJ does not have the right or the privilege of withholding information from an active investigation, ignoring the laws of our land, which the Epstein Transparency Act is, with our subpoena from last July is. And the oversight Dems will continue to press for accountability. We'll continue to press for justice for survivors while also keeping them centered in this. So at the end of the day, we are still here seeking answers for women, for girls, and for the American public who has demanded justice, who have demanded answers to this, and whether or not they will pretend that the documents that they've given us is enough, we already know that they have not complied, and we are asking other people to make sure that we do not let them off the hook right now. So we look forward to her on the record deposition with our committee in response to our lawful subpoena.
No, Motor, we're not caught in a gang war between Republicans and Democrats. That's not what's happening right now. We are caught up in a war between a fascist and everybody else. We've been stuck like in this red versus blue. This isn't red versus blue anymore. This is legitimately a fascist president with no regard for the Constitution, with no regard to checks and balances, and a Republican Party that has been completely cuckolded to the point that they cannot, in any scenario, disagree with him. Even when he is obviously wrong, they are not allowed to disagree with him. This is so different. Like, I've been in politics for a long time. This is different than anything we've ever had. And like, I hate it. We do it every day, but like the fence sitting shit right now. Oh, everybody's bad. No, that's not what's going on right now. That's a lazy fucking take. It's an incredibly lazy fucking take. Our government is under the direction of Donald Trump. And the people that work for Donald Trump, which apparently are just the Republicans, follow his orders blindly. They will not stand up to him. Our country was not made to have one person direct everybody's goals and everybody's actions. And that's where we're at right now. This is not red versus blue, like they're distracting you while they're taking everything. No, like the people for years, it's been like the elites have been distracting everybody so they could gain control. Now they have control. We got that part's over. We're in the holy fucking shit. They have control. Oh my God, the elites are like in the Pentagon. Oh my God, the elites are running our surveillance. Oh my God, we exposed the elites through the Epstein files, and the elites are working in this administration, covering it up actively. Oh my God, they dragged us into a war with Iran so we would stop talking about this. We left that part. You were right about this before. Like, it was a distraction. There was a lot of dumb infighting about dumb shit, and there still is infighting about dumb shit, but like, they have the power now. All the people we were worried about, they work with Donald Trump. They saw him and they were like, nice. Finally, we got somebody that's going to give us what we want. And so now it's not red versus blue. It's the elites versus everybody else. Unfortunately, there's a bunch of people in the red who think that somehow the elites are on their side because they voted for Trump. And so the real problem that we have is convincing a bunch of red hats that this administration is doing nothing for you. In fact, they are systematically like stripping our country of resources and consolidating power. And once they have that power, which they kind of have, what happens? What do you think would happen if we tried to, like, for whatever reason, whatever you can fathom, we wanted to remove Trump from office right now? Are you confident that the military and the Republicans wouldn't say, fuck it, we're staying here and we're going to use the military? If you say you're confident they wouldn't do that, that's crazy. I'm not saying they would, but I have no confidence that they wouldn't do that. Look at the way they turned just on Joe Kent. We'll get to that in a little bit, but look at anytime somebody blows the whistle on this administration, holy shit, the whole party turns against them. All right, on here. Ned Max Frost, because these are the questions that we want asked. And of course, Pam Bondi won't answer them. And now they want these questions answered under oath, which we'll see. I think the Republicans are going to try and figure out some way. I think when they get their heads together with Mike Johnson today, they're going to figure out some way and some narrative that they're going to roll out as to why Pam Bondi either doesn't need to come before Congress or it needs to be behind closed doors. And I don't know, maybe it'll be on video, maybe it'll be transcribed. I don't know. But they're going to come up with some way to, if I had to guess, they're just going to kick the can down the road. They're going to say, well, we might hold her in contempt, but she needs a little more time.
I'll have Congressman Frost come in. He specifically also asked her if she would show up to her deposition, and she was very clear. If you want to comment on that.
Look, to me, it's very clear that the purpose of this entire fake hearing, this fake deposition, is...
Oh, shit, sorry. I needed to read some comments real fast. Jamar said, happy to have Jen as our daddy, and she doesn't require us to take our clothes off. Not yet. Solely said, this is no limit, still hilarious. Why did the sperm cross the road? Because I put on the wrong sock this morning. Thank you. And a good reminder to everybody, we are crowdfunded. That's how we pay our bills here each and every day. You can see the gift goal there in the bottom left or top left corner. You can help us knock out that gift goal through PayPal, Cash App, or Venmo, or Super Chats. I'll update that total in a minute. It's a little down from that. And then Jen's going to leave here shortly, so we will be unsupervised for a bit.
The Attorney General trying to weasel herself out of sitting in front of us under oath, under a bipartisan subpoena that we gave her committee. We asked her multiple times, are you going to come and speak with us under oath? She would not say yes. Filibuster, filibuster, filibuster would not say yes. And so why do we, and then our Republican colleagues say, is this not enough? Why don't you want to speak to her now? We want her under oath because we do not trust her. Why don't we trust her? Because she's a liar. Look at how that Judiciary Committee hearing went. She was spying on members of Congress when they were in the DOJ looking at the documents unredacted. Look at what she's done as far as not putting documents relating to Donald Trump on the website, not releasing them, and only doing it when the public noticed and said something about it. We want her under oath because we don't trust her. We want her under oath because...
And look, I just don't think anybody does. I don't even think this is a partisan thing. I don't think there's anybody in this country that trusts Pam Bondi right now. She's been gone. Nobody's even seen her. As soon as she testified last time, it was game over. They don't even put her in front of a microphone anywhere. The administration doesn't trust her. Nobody trusts her.
She has shown that she is involved in a cover-up. My Republican colleagues under the last administration would not stand for this, with Merrick Garland being in front of them not being under oath. They wouldn't allow that to happen for a second. So we see this for what it is. This is not a briefing. A briefing is when we sit down and we're getting information from the person giving the briefing. That didn't happen here. She sat down. They started the clock like a hearing. It's a hearing. It's a fake deposition where no one can see what's going on, where there's zero transcription, where it's not on C-SPAN or anything, and where no one is under oath and they are allowed to freely lie to members.
I appreciate that. Malama said, Democrats ran this country and the ground we're closed for maintenance now. That's cute. What you're describing is fascism. That's what all fascists do. They go, oh, somebody fucked it up, so now we're going to suspend all regular order. Yeah, this is why we call you fascists. What you just explained right now, because you can't close the country for maintenance, is fascism. It's ignoring the checks and balances. It's ignoring the three branches of government. You guys admit it. Like, if I guess we could just call it something else. But every time we bring this up that they don't follow any of the rules, you're like, well, it's because Biden fucked it up. Okay, so just say that we thought Biden did such a bad job that we voted for a fascist and now we're fascists. But Donald Trump will for sure give that power back at some point. But there's no daylight between what I'm saying and what you're saying. You're just describing fascism in a more fun way, a little more colorful.
Members of Congress.
Is it ongoing now that you guys have left?
All right. Now, here's why they're not talking about it. And I do, this is what I believe. I tend to agree with Whitney Webb here. I think sometimes the distraction of the Epstein files, and you can see this whenever you're in the comments section, you'll see if anybody's talking about the Epstein files and them being covered up. There'll always be multiple accounts saying, why can't we find out who was eating children? I don't think that's in there. I haven't seen anything about that. Jeffrey Epstein was a pedophile. Some of the people that he was around were pedophiles. They trafficked girls. They trafficked young women. They abused people. They raped people. There's allegations that they killed people. That's all in the Epstein files. That's all very, very true. But on top of all of that, you see a very, very clear structure. And I don't know if anybody's done a better job than Whitney Webb of like creating that structure and showing you how this structure actually works and how it operates and how somebody like Jeffrey Epstein, who really wasn't that remarkable, was able to cultivate assets and then create a power vacuum where, because of his connections, he was able to involve himself basically in any world affair. And when we were talking earlier about how like it's not red versus blue anymore, it's legitimately like the elites versus all of us. We're there. They're not protecting. They're not choosing to not release these files. I honestly don't think it has anything to do with the accusations against Donald Trump. And the reason I don't think it has anything to do with the accusations against Donald Trump as far as like abusing children is because we already know that this country doesn't give a fuck about what Donald Trump is accused of. Unless it's on videotape that they can't say is AI, they just will not believe it. There's no level of evidence that matters to the people who vote for Donald Trump. He's a convicted felon. He absolutely stole classified documents. You can't even make an argument that he didn't anymore. All you can say is, other people did too. But they didn't. Like, he even did it in a way that no other president has done. So I really don't think that's it. I think he knows that those accusations, because they're out there, and they haven't hurt him with his base. It hasn't hurt him one goddamn bit. So I don't believe that the reason that they're covering this up has anything to do with these victims and covering for the people that abuse them. I think it's about the power structure that is clearly exposed in the Epstein files. And if you don't follow Whitney Webb, I highly recommend it. She's brilliant. She's done great reporting. But I think it's more along the lines of this. By the way, Thurman said, thanks for doing the research so that I don't have to. Your hard work's appreciated. Thank you very much for that. I don't think I missed any there. There we
is that Epstein, the type of sex blackmail activity he was engaging in was is no longer needed to blackmail people. You can do all of that stuff digitally now, and I think it's no coincidence that Epstein told Ehud Barak to check out Palantir, which I argue in my book is really you don't need an Epstein blackmail style operation if you have Palantir operating. And there's a straight line, as I've noted in other past articles.
Think about how easy it would be for Palantir, if they needed to set somebody up for a crime and have, if Donald Trump's support remains high enough, start convicting people based off of fake evidence. Be very, very easy, even if it's not like a conviction in court, just in public opinion, how easy this would be. Palantir can read everything you've ever written. That means they can take stuff out of context. They can edit it. It's more simple than I think even people think. Like, it's as simple as somebody engaging in infidelity in their relationship. Jen, can you mute real quick? That can serve as blackmail. There are lots of politicians who would gladly sell out the country's sovereignty before they were publicly exposed as a cheater. So it's not even that hard. Yeah, stuff as simple as, like, maybe you have some white nationalist friends and you're on a thread together and you're saying really, really racist things. Well, Palantir can get a hold of that, say, we'll release this. Look at the actions of Lindsey Graham, who has always been a cuck for Israel, but has since turned into, like, he's constantly drunk and he's insane. Like, he's literally out there like, Israel is the only thing that matters. Why do you think that like, we don't think that maybe there's just some blackmail there? It's more simple than I think people believe. What's up, Jen?
Well, I was just going to come in and tell everybody goodbye and tell you not to break anything.
No promises.
And I know. And then also, you saw that we went down on TikTok. I don't know why we ran, but
yeah, we're playing a congressional hearing.
Yeah. So just want to remind everyone we're a ways away from the gift goal. So if we want to start a dollar train, that would be fantastic. So Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Super Chats. Don't let me down while I'm gone. I don't want to come back and be disappointed. So
there you go.
So yep.
All right.
Talk to you later.
That's it. Have fun on your date. Hope you really enjoy it.
From the Promise software scandal, which involved Israel, the CIA, this exact network, including Robert Maxwell, among other figures that pop up repeatedly in this story, all the way through Palantir's creation as a rebranding of the Bush era total information awareness program.
How dirty is Peter Thiel, Alex Karp, and their connections with Epstein in all of this?
So I'm obviously no friend of Peter Thiel. I've been very critical of him for some time. Back in 2019, I reported about his co-investment with Jeffrey Epstein in Carbine, previously Reporty, which was headed up by Ehud Barak, and he chaired the board, but they have since rebranded after the initial Epstein story. But that has not stopped them from taking over a litany of U.S. 911 emergency call systems, which they now control, and they're run by IDF people. Even
this stuff is alarming on a lot of levels, but the privatization of government functions is one of the most alarming things. Like, I don't know any decent justification for why we have privatized intelligence. Why in the world would we do that? This is every red flag imaginable. Oh, you want to have all of our country's secrets locked, accessible to a private company? Ah, fucking great idea. What could possibly go wrong? What if they get blackmailed? What if Alex Karp does something evil? I know, hard to believe. And then another country says, we're going to expose you for doing this evil thing unless you give us your secrets. Why in the world are we doing this? Why would we privatize our 911 system? This one is not necessarily like this has been happening over time, but why in the world would we privatize government? That is the worst possible direction we could go. And it's all been in the name of like, oh, capitalism operates more efficiently than the government. Sometimes it doesn't. But you're adding layers now where the government can be corrupted. I applaud the Green Party over in the UK who has said, if we get in power, we are canceling all of our Palantir contracts. Why would you not cancel a Palantir contract? Is there anybody in here that thinks it's a good idea that Palantir be our operating system? That they have access to all this? Does it, like, honestly, raise your hand if you do. Does anybody think that's a good idea? That a private company is basically running intelligence? I can't imagine somebody having a justification for that.
They put a few token Americans on their board. It's still an IDF project, arguably a front company if you look at the other types of companies that Ehud Barak was creating with Israeli intelligence veterans in the same period that he created Reporting Now Carbine. Peter Thiel, now we have over the past year fresh documentation showing Thiel and Epstein's direct involvement in making those investments happen.
Thanks, Jawan.
But Carbine is a direct way to create this type of surveillance system in which Palantir also excels. It no longer says this on its website, but when I reported on them, they had a functionality on their program where if you're calling 911 within a district controlled by this company, they can harvest any and all data off of your smartphone if you use one, and basically create a pre-crime system determining.
Yeah, it's cheaper. What's cheaper? We're going to stop and we're going to talk to Cody here real quick because Cody's doing that knee-jerk thing. Cody, what's cheaper? Why is it cheaper to have Palantir be our operating system? Guys, everybody pay attention to Cody here. Make sure you tag Cody. Cody McGonigal. Can you explain that to me? What's cheaper about it? We'll let this play. Cody's probably right now a real long answer.
If you or someone near you will call 911 and commit a crime at some point in the future. And again, Palantir is built around and was always envisioned to have the same pre-crime functionality and has developed obvious and very clear ties to the state of Israel, potentially given this new audio release that may have been forged by Epstein himself.
Yeah, that's why we're concerned right now. And this is why you guys need to break like the MAGA curse. You need to break the MAGA trance. He has handed over our government to Israel and to private companies. Most of these private companies with deep roots to Israel. And I promise they don't give a fuck about you. They don't see us as teammates like where we're working together. They've been doing this for decades, trying to get control over everything. They want control over everybody. And the fact that they drug us into this war and our government still can't tell us why we're there should tell you that they've got some pretty significant leverage over government officials. Natalie said on our way to second robotics camp, took first last competition. Good luck. Tell the robotics team we say good luck. Probably don't have them listen to this show because I say some shit they don't need to hear. Betsy, thank you for the $10. Appreciate that. Adding to the goal. Like Jen said, we are crowdfunded, so we rely on your generosity to make that work. MAGA trance sounds like a really bad rave. It's just kid rock music and God Bless America over and over, but with like techno. Yeah, that would suck. All right. We've talked about Joe Kent a little bit, and I apologize in advance because not only am I going to show you white nationalist apologist Joe Kent. I'm going to show you these clips on white nationalist apologist Tucker Carlson's show, but Tucker's the one that got the interview. Tucker gets these interviews. He's one of the few people on the right who's willing to challenge the official narrative. But if you don't remember who Joe Kent is the person who just stepped down from his position in the Trump administration because he said there's no evidence that we were in any imminent danger and that Israel dragged us into this war. Once again, like, it sucks sometimes, but the far right is much closer to good foreign policy than MAGA right now. And so we're going to find ourselves agreeing with the far right a lot.
He was single-minded.
And he walked off and he went, I believe, into the Oval. So when one of...
Who did I call conspiracy theorists for citing Whitney Webb? Why do you guys do this every day? I don't know why you do. Like, you Republicans are crazy. Like, it's just this victim complex that you have is fucking wild. I have never once called somebody a conspiracy theorist for citing Whitney Webb. That's never happened. Why do you pick straw man arguments instead of, why don't you just sit here and engage like a human being? Have you ever been around other people? There's a lot of people you could talk to here. If you agree that what Whitney Webb is saying is true, why don't you just sit here and talk about it instead of being like, I'm going to make up a story about how he said, I've played Whitney Webb a million times. And by the way, sometimes she's wrong. She does her research, though. I don't always agree with her conclusions, but she's pretty fucking good when it comes to breaking down the power structures in the Epstein files. She's one of the best. Now I'm going to play Tucker Carlson, who, again, if you cite Tucker Carlson all the time, there's going to be a lot of times you're going to be wrong about that. Fox News found out the hard way, to the tune of almost $1 billion, that maybe listening to everything Tucker Carlson says isn't a good idea. But, like, let's just be fair here. You don't need to make up a story to stay mad in the chat. You can just engage. You can just be like a regular human being and engage. If you agree with something, just agree with it. And if you disagree, explain why you disagree. You don't got to make up new arguments.
Very loudly.
He was single-minded.
And he walked off and he went, I believe, into the Oval. So when one of President Trump's closest advisors, who is vocally...
He's talking about Charlie Kirk, by the way.
...advocating for us to not go to war with Iran and for us to rethink at least our relationship with the Israelis. And then he's suddenly publicly assassinated and we're not allowed to ask any questions about that. It's a data point. It's a data point that we need to look into.
What do you mean when you say we're not allowed?
America's dying slow. Yes, you did. I've never said that anybody who cites Whitney Webb is a conspiracy theorist, and that's what you said. So that would be a lie. But you're welcome to stay here. Just engage.
To ask any questions about that?
We've been told
Fox News isn't any different than the rest, except for that part where they're the only news organization who has been sued and settled for openly lying to their viewers, and they were coordinating their lies behind the scenes. They were all like emailing each other like, I know we're lying about the election being stolen, but if we stop lying about it, they'll go watch OAN. They're also the only news organization that when they go to court, they say, we're not a news organization, we're entertainment. Nobody watching us would take us seriously. And when you say they're not any different, they are the only group that is like them.
Told that this individual, Robinson, is a lone gunman, and maybe he is. But the investigation that I was a part of...
Yeah, CBS didn't settle for lying, though. CBS settled, and they admitted no fault for anything. And that was for... they didn't like their editorial decisions of how the interview was cut.
National Counterterrorism Center was a part of. We were stopped from continuing to investigate. And the FBI will say that they stopped that because they wanted to have turn everything over to the Utah state authorities. Everything's going to trial. It's very, very sensitive. But there was still...
Tell me what you guys know about the shooting of Tyler Robinson shooting Charlie Kirk. What do we know about that? Isn't it interesting? Like, Congress is consistently trying to build statues. I live in Arizona. We're trying to rename roads after him. We put his wife on the Air Force board for some unknown reason. They never shut the fuck up about Charlie Kirk, but also weirdly don't talk about his case. Why do you think that is? They're so hell-bent on remembering him as a hero, but not in telling us the truth about what happened in his case. And now Joe Kent is saying we weren't allowed to investigate it. That we tried to investigate these claims that there was a foreign aspect to the murder of Charlie Kirk, but they won't let us. They shut it down. Thank you, Nightcrawler, for the gifted subs. I appreciate that.
Still a lot for us to look into that I can't really get into, but there was still linkage for us to investigate that we needed to run down. And I'm not making any conclusions. I'm not saying
No, I don't think you are.
because of this happened. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying there's unanswered questions. We know the pressure because of the text messages that have been made public that Charlie was under a lot of pressure from a lot of pro-Israel donors. And again, we know Charlie was advocating to President Trump against this war with Iran. And we knew at the end of the 12-day war, at the end of Midnight Hammer, that the Israelis were going to come back and ask us to go back to war again.
Right.
So we have a lot of data points between Butler.
Does that jive very well with what they told you? Their nuclear capabilities have been completely obliterated. That's what the administration told us. And then Joe Kent is saying, we knew at the time that even after we did this, Israel was going to come back and say, let's go to war. They've known the entire time. That's pretty alarming, isn't it? Or like, I guess if you're a Republican, you've just decided Joe Kent can't be telling the truth. He was all in. He was there through the whole thing, but he can't be telling the truth because Trump wouldn't do that.
The assassination attempts against President Trump, the breaches of his security, what happened to Charlie Kirk.
Can I just ask you to pause on the Charlie Kirk because it upsets me to
me too.
hear what you're saying.
It's not anti-Semitic to criticize Israel, just like it's not anti-Mormon to criticize the Boy Scouts. You can criticize Israel without being anti-Semitic. You're falling into the anti-Semitic trap, Joshua Adams, where you are confusing Israel for the Jewish people.
Saying, to be reminded that he was murdered, but also to hear you confirm what was reported in the media several months ago, that your office had been blocked from investigating his murder. That does not make sense to me. I don't understand why you would ever turn down help in an investigation from a U.S. agency with a lot of experience in gathering intelligence on things. That's your job.
The FBI will say, and the DOJ will say that because
Johnny said pretends gas tank. Thanks, Johnny.
Because it's an ongoing case, it's a Utah State case, that back off, they've got it. They've got a smoking case. They've got the fingerprints on the gun, and they've got the kid.
But the FBI was involved in the case.
The FBI was involved. The FBI's basically said that they're deferring to Utah because it's now a state case.
But they've established a precedent for federal investigation of this crime.
Yeah, and the National Counterterrorism Center's mandate is to investigate any foreign ties, to see if there's potentially any foreign ties. If we don't find any foreign ties, we back off. What I'm saying, without getting into too much detail, is there was more for us to investigate.
I'd like to point out that this is a direct parallel to what Tulsi Gabbard was saying in her hearing. What he's saying here is that we weren't allowed to investigate foreign ties because this case was being run by the state of Utah. Yeah, but the state of Utah, they don't have the ability to look into these foreign ties. Just like the Tulsi Gabbard case where she said, we're looking at election integrity stuff here down in Fulton County, but I was there because the people that are investigating Fulton County can't look at, from a national security perspective, at any interference from foreign entities. So that's why I was there. Joe Kent is saying the same thing now here in this investigation to Charlie Kirk, but in this case, they shut that down. Why? Well, when Tulsi Gabbard's looking into it, it doesn't seem to be a problem. I bet if there were accusations that Israel had interfered to help Trump, I bet Tulsi Gabbard wouldn't have been there saying, I need to look into, did Israel interfere here? It's interesting how we're willing to look into foreign interference anywhere until it is Israel, and then hands off. We're not doing this anymore.
You believe there was reason to investigate foreign ties to Charlie Kirk's murder and were told by the FBI, DOJ?
FBI and DOJ, yeah.
No, you're not allowed to investigate that.
Stop. It's done. They basically cut off our access to be able to get into that information. And look, I didn't even say necessarily that I believe there's 100% foreign ties. There were data points that we needed to investigate. I mean, I think anybody who's even looked at any kind of police investigation, you get 100 leads, you run them down, and 99 don't mean anything. We still had a lot more leads to run down that pertained to some kind of a foreign nexus that we were stopped from investigating. And,
that just strikes me as inconceivable that could happen.
Very loudly.
He was okay. Then I want to show this. It's out of order. Whoever's doing I'm skipping one. But this was another clip here because this is another really interesting thing that, like, we talk about that Donald Trump was almost assassinated by Thomas Crooks. What do you know about Thomas Crooks? What do we know about his motivations? We were told he had no social media history. That just went away too. Now there's this weird like link, attempted link here to Iran, but shouldn't we know about that? Why does it take Joe Kent telling us this? Axe said daily Antifa dues. Thanks RTP Gen mods, especially travel. It's okay for friends to disagree. I honestly feel a little bad at the moment. LOL. That's all right. Travel's a very forgiving person.
The current president was the subject of a near successful assassination attempt, like recently.
Yeah.
And we're just not going to look into very obviously or divulge information that everyone knows they have. For example, the surveillance tape from the shooting range at which Thomas Crooks trained, because it would answer the question, was he training with somebody? And if so, who?
How come you think we haven't seen that? Why in the world have we not seen that? I didn't know about that until I saw this clip. I've never heard that there was any footage from a shooting range. How'd he get on that roof? How'd Secret Service fuck that all up? How'd he get a clear shot? How come spectators saw him long before Secret Service? How come spectators were screaming like there's a guy on the roof? Secret Service didn't know? Why haven't we done anything about that? Doesn't that seem odd to any of you? That the president of the United States, who apparently this guy tried to kill, does it seem odd to you that we've never like gotten down to that? I mean, if it was me, somebody tried to kill me. This happened to one of my best friends. Somebody tried to kill him. We spent years. It was like 6 years. He finally had court last year. He finally went to court and won his case because somebody tried. He didn't forget about it. He thought about that shit every day. He fought about that shit every single day. He was going to his lawyers every single day. He was doing his own investigations every single day. You think that like you don't think it's weird that somebody almost killed Trump and then he just like let it go? We just don't talk about it anymore. I mean, like the Tyler Robinson one is weird. There's a lot of stuff there, but this one is alarmingly strange. And it also just so happened to coincide with the day they announced J.D. Vance as vice president after J.D. Vance was a nobody. Nobody was considering him, and then all these people that are now running our government as a shadow government held a fundraiser for Trump. We're just not ever going to get answers for that. I find that strange that Trump, like, he doesn't let things go. He holds on to grievances forever. Somebody says something mean. I mean, he hated Barack Obama for a roast. He has never let go of Barack Obama roasting him, but somebody tries to kill him and he just lets it go. That's hard for me to believe. This guy Fox said, if the attempt was real, Trump wouldn't shut the fuck up about it. Yet he never mentions it. Never. Isn't that weird? This dude talks about being a victim. It's his favorite. It's his favorite thing to talk about. And you'll notice that MAGA doesn't talk about it either. Why? Because they're parroting Trump, right? They're parroting the things that he cares about. But if MAGA was consistent, this would be. I don't know why they would have ever shut up about this one. This Butler one is bizarre. Hazel said for putting up with MAGA shit. Thank you. Appreciate that.
They have that footage and they won't release it. What could possibly be
the shooting range footage? Sorry, I rambled on for a while.
The explanation for that.
Yeah, I see OSHA server. He did talk about it after it happened. What do you want him to do? Keep talking about it every day? That's what he does with everything else. That's what he does, dude. Have you ever seen Donald Trump? We're still talking about the 2020 election. We still talk about that. Donald Trump, every time he gets in front of a microphone, he talks about every grievance that has ever happened to him. Yes, that's exactly what you should expect Donald Trump to do. Not a regular person, but Trump, yeah. That's all he does is complain. Especially if he could link it to the left. Oh my God. It'd be all he talks about. But yeah, that's if you've watched Donald Trump as long as we have, yes, that's exactly what we expect him to do.
I know what the result is. The result is people come to their own conclusions, and this is where like crazy conspiracy theories come from. And then those conspiracy theories usually are easy to debunk or make the people saying them sound crazy. So then the actual question never gets answered.
Right? I'm sorry. Can you say that for people who haven't?
What? You don't expect him for that? What? Pick a date. OCC server. Pick a date. in the last from 2025. Just pick me a month and a date, and we'll see. I bet what I'm going to do is you can pick me a date here, and I'm going to pull up any video of Trump speaking on that date, and I bet he's complaining about something. Let's try it. We used to do this all the time where we'd pick a random date, and you had to tell me from a Trump speech what he was talking about, and 0 times did anybody tell me. July 26, 2025. Is that a significant date? Let's look. Oh, whoops. '26, 2025. It's taking a minute. Oh, see, don't move the goalpost. We're staying here. What about the left? Don't do that. Just look, dude, just engage. Just be a human being here for a second and fucking engage with me. It's not an argument. We don't need to talk about the left right now. The closest is January 25th. So he didn't speak on the 26th publicly. So let's pull up a press gaggle. Let's see. Let's see if he complains.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you? Winning. They picked up on a little routine, you know. Give us $550 billion, and we have totally open access into Japan. Those numbers are great. I mean, the kids actually just said very, very cute.
I'm not saying anything, OC. I'm not making any claims. What I'm saying is it's weird that he doesn't talk about this, and it's weird that the FBI doesn't give us any information. It's weird that we know nothing about this case. That's what I'm saying. I don't know what happened. But am I saying that they could possibly purposely shoot somebody in the stands to look like he was being shot at? Yeah. Why would you put that past the deep state? Why would you, like, if somebody, I'm not saying Trump set it up. Take Trump out of it for a second. I'm not saying it was him necessarily. What if it was a warning shot to Trump? Like, look what we could do if we wanted to. I'm not making any other claim except for that this guy complains always, and he doesn't ever talk about that.
I walked up, they said, sir, there's too much winning. They picked up on a little routine, you know. Go ahead.
Mr. Guilty, can I ask you about the DOJ lawsuit that you filed yesterday against New York City and Mayor Adams? In the lawsuit, they named the CBP officer that was off duty that was shot. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's DOJ going against New York, but we're going against a lot of other places too. We want to bring safety to our cities, but that's going to be a pretty routine filing with other cities too. As you know, we've started numerous lawsuits with other cities. We want to bring safety. We've got to get the criminals out, and we're doing it in record numbers.
On Gaza in negotiations?
Yeah, Gaza, they pulled out of Gaza. They pulled out in terms of negotiating. It was too bad. Hamas didn't really want to make a deal. I think they want to die, and it's very, very bad.
Are you done with
I think they want to die.
It got to be to a point where you're going to have to finish the job. They really, they asked for...
Do we want to count that as complaining, and we can go back to it, or do you need to wait for more?
We got a lot of hostages out. So now we're down to the final hostages, and they know what happens after you get the final hostages. And basically because of that, they really didn't want to make a deal. I saw that. So they pulled out, and they're going to have to fight, and they're going to have to clean it up. You're going to have to get rid of it.
You want me to keep going, OC? Did that count as complaining for you? Oh my God, shut the fuck up. No, dude, I will mute you for it. No. The reality is both parties are corrupt, but at least we stop mutilating children. He goes to sitting on the fence and then trans people. Yeah, shocker. Shocker that once he was proven wrong, it was they're all bad and trans people. All right. Shocker.
Lived in Washington. Okay.
All right, we'll go back to this.
Actual question never gets answered.
Right? I'm sorry. Can you say that? For people who haven't lived in Washington, okay, I try to explain this to people all the time because this has been ongoing since at least the Kennedy assassination, but this is a very serious and reoccurring thing. It's a tactic, and you just explained it better than anyone I've ever heard. Can you just do that again if you can recall it from memory?
Yeah, I mean, so basically you give no information whatsoever on something that's obvious that there should be information. Like you outlined, like there's potentially footage of crooks at the shooting range. Again, Police 101, go get the tapes. Let's figure it out. If you don't want to address that question, then you go silent on it and you say, you can't ask that question, which then creates people who come out of kind of nowhere and they start drawing their own conclusions, knowing the way the internet works. I mean, half of them,
which is exactly what we're doing now, right? Like that's kind of the point here, is that the lack of transparency just leaves everybody confused and angry and they don't really know why. But because you have political allegiances, that's going to lead to like some of your opinions. I'm trying to be careful with that because I don't know what my opinion really is here. But exactly like that lack of transparency just leaves what you guys were talking about earlier, that it leaves people divided. And who does that benefit? The elites. And who are the elites? Oh, they're the people running our country right now. That's the shadow government right now. Those are all the people that are getting government contracts. Remember when we gave our space program to Elon Musk? We just gave it to him. Like, here you go, Elon, you can have our space program. And now all of our intelligence is being done by private companies. Our military work's being done by private companies. Our budgeting is being done by private companies. We've just handed over literally everything to a handful of billionaires.
More are probably going to be so far off in left field and made by legitimate kooks or bots that then you can just be like, oh, these people asking these questions about that tape at the video range.
It's space
They're
aliens.
All crazy conspiracy theorists. They say
no, the shadow government wouldn't involve both sides. It would be the elites. It wouldn't be Republican or Democrat. It's elites. It's not about political parties. That's the point of this shadow government. You know who they are. They used to say they were Democrats. Now they say they're Republicans, but they were always opportunists. They don't really have, like, none of them believe in democracy. They all want to end democracy and have an oligarchy. They've been playing this entire time. They've been pretending the entire time to be on a side so that when they do something, if you're on their side, you don't notice it. And that's what they did to you, MAGA. And I'm not saying that they haven't done this consistently. And like, when we turned over when we turned over SpaceX, like, it was Democrats and Republicans that did that. They've all kind of gone along with it. But these people that are actually pulling the strings, they just play the game. And then when, like, with Elon, you guys all just sat and watched Elon access all of our government programs in the name of government efficiency, of Doge. He didn't do a goddamn thing. He cut almost nothing. He got access to all of our sensitive data. His friends that were working for him literally took it back to their companies, put it on thumb drives. Russia got access to it. And Elon was able to go through and look at all these contracts that he wanted to get, and he was able to either undersell them or figure out ways to beat these contracts. You handed the reins to Elon Musk. But because he was at Trump rallies and saying, like, oh, Trump's the greatest, you were like, oh, fuck, Elon's on our side. Oh, he saved free speech with Twitter. No, the fuck he didn't. He made it right-wing biased. I still can't believe people say that, but, like, he didn't make it free speech. It is incredibly censored on Twitter. If you are on the left, you are throttled. What he did is he lets you say whatever words you want, but now it just pushes out right-wing propaganda. So it wasn't free speech. He just told you that. You liked it. It was working out better for you. So you thought, oh, he must be on our team. He played you. They all played you. He's the same guy who thought he was so powerful that he's like, Trump's in the Epstein files. That's why he's not releasing it. He said that. And then momentarily, you guys all turned on. Look at the difference between Marjorie Taylor Greene, who said Trump's covering up the Epstein files, and now she is literally the enemy of MAGA. Trump hates her. Elon did it. Trump didn't do shit. He didn't do fucking anything. In fact, they made up. Elon's down at Mar-a-Lago hanging out. Why do you think Trump goes after everybody? His theory is if somebody punches you, you punch back harder. He didn't do anything. He could have cut off all of Elon's contracts with the government. He could have said, you know what, fuck it. We're going to allow BYD vehicles to come into the United States now. That BYD, the tariff that Biden put on, that was basically for Tesla. Trump could have buried Elon. He could have ruined him. He would do that to anybody. Why didn't he do it to Elon? Because Elon's in charge. Elon and his friends are actually in charge. So Trump can't do shit about it. I think you all know that that's true, too. I'd like to hear a different explanation for why all the rich people, why Putin, why Netanyahu, they can do whatever they want. They can talk shit. They can manipulate. They can lie to Trump. Doesn't do anything. But if it's somebody that Trump feels he has more power than, oh my God, punches back. Who would have more power than the president of the United States? Nobody, right? So then why does he play with kid gloves with these billionaires? Proud Atheist said, bright side, as long as they're still trying to hide things from us, there's hope. When they stop trying, they aren't scared of us anymore. I feel like we are getting very close to... Somebody in the chat actually earlier that was a Trump supporter said that, like, well, at least Trump doesn't hide that he's corrupt. It's like, yeah, that's not a good sign. That means that, like, people stopped caring about his corruption. They're just in it for him.
It's a UAP or whatever. And so then you've just, diverted all attention away from the thing that you're trying to conceal, and now everyone's focused on the crazies.
Man.
And then the second someone asks a legitimate question, they're crazy.
There you go. Again, look at how MAGA responded to me. Those are two MAGA men right there that are talking. Well, I'm saying the same thing as them. This isn't like right versus left. This is elites versus non-elites. I'm showing Tucker Carlson clips, for fuck's sakes. You know how bad that hurts me? To show Tucker Carlson and Joe Kent. I despise both of them. This is clearly not a both sides thing. And then the last part here, and this is the part that is causing all sorts of problems, and this is why people are turning on Joe Kent. But from his own words, we should not be in this war. There's no reason that anybody's been able to articulate as to why we are currently at war with Iran.
Was Iran...
Agreed, Joseph. Joe Kent, not a good guy. I agree with you.
On the verge of getting a nuclear weapon?
No, they weren't, 3 weeks ago when this started, and they weren't in June either. I mean, the Iranians have had a religious ruling, a fatwa, against actually developing a nuclear weapon since 2004. That's been in place since 2004. That's available in the public sphere. But then also we had no intelligence to indicate that fatwa was being disobeyed.
I love that, Chapman. Welcome back with your dumbass. I haven't even talked about Trump hardly at all today. The fact that you think we live off Trump here when we're not even talking about him, like he's been like on the peripheries today. Most of what we've talked about wasn't Trump today. This is a glimpse into your mind. These are your words that you're putting out there, but this is exactly what we're talking about. I'm simply pointing out that there are power structures in place that everybody kind of agrees that shouldn't be there. And you are so buried inside his asshole, wrapped up tightly in one of his rectal curves, that you don't know that anything you hear from a liberal, you assume is anti-Trump. That is how tightly formed you are to his rectum. Most of today has not been about Donald Trump, and you still say that. That's weird. You guys gotta let Trump go. You gotta just start treating him like a normal human, a flawed human. Humans are flawed. Criticize them. Chapman, we'll give you an opportunity. Say one thing that you don't like about Donald Trump. One policy that you don't like about Donald Trump. Just one thing you don't like about Donald Trump. See how well you can do with that. I'm back to Joe Kent.
We had no intelligence to indicate that fatwa was being disobeyed or it was on the cusp of being lifted. The Iranian strategy, it's actually pretty pragmatic. The Iranians are obviously aware of what's taking place in their region, and their strategy was to not completely abandon their nuclear program because they saw what happened to Muammar Gaddafi in Libya when he said, hey, I've got no more nukes. I'll do what you say. I'll give up my nukes.
And we gave him the Nobel Peace Prize?
Yeah, we regime changed him, and he was executed by his own people in the most horrific way.
Oh, sodomized by a bayonet. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's that's the lesson I think that the entire region took from that when Hillary Clinton.
Unfortunately, that is what the neocon, neoliberal warmongers. That's the lesson that they showed everyone in the region. And then conversely, the Iranians also knew that if they came out and said, "Okay, we've got a nuke," whether they were bluffing or not, Saddam Hussein, Iraq right next door. So they kind of had
he hung. I think
he was hung by his own people.
Do the same for Obama. I criticize Obama all the time. I worked for Mitt Romney. I didn't vote for Obama. Obama used drone strikes like they were going out of style. I think that Obama totally caved. And I think Obamacare, while it was slightly better than what we had, I think he was unable to get what he campaigned on. Obama, I think Obama was a good president, but there's plenty of things to criticize Obama for, but I didn't never vote for him, so.
People, you know, after a bloody, you know, war that's still essentially going on inside of Iraq. So the Iranians' position, when viewed from the lens of the region, was actually fairly pragmatic. They were preventing, you know, themselves from developing a bomb, but they still wanted the ability. They wanted the ability to enrich. They wanted the ability to have some components so that they weren't completely stripped of it. And when we always assessed that they were either several months or a year, 2 years away from actually being able to develop a nuclear weapon. And that's not because the Iranians.
This isn't just a guy. Like, this isn't me. If I'm saying that Iran wasn't anywhere close to developing a nuclear weapon, you have every right to be like, hey, what the fuck does this guy know? But this is Joe Kent, who Donald Trump chose, handpicked to be in the administration. Didn't fire him, didn't say you're unqualified, handpicked this person. And he's saying, I was looking at the intelligence. They weren't close to developing a nuclear weapon, and there was no imminent threat.
Are stupid people. I think we can tell right now that the Iranians are anything but stupid. They had the ability, I think, the brain power to actually develop one, or they could have simply traded a ton of oil with Pakistan or with someone else to actually get a nuclear weapon. They were not doing that. We had no intelligence to indicate that they were.
And this backs up literally every single person in Congress who has spoken on this, on the right or the left. Nobody has been able to articulate an imminent threat. They've just said, they didn't like us for 47 straight years. Cool. That's not what imminent means. All right. Let's get back to the Senate hearing now with Michael Bennett here with John Ratcliffe. And I apologize. Today's a heavy policy day. So for those of you that don't like policy and national security and Congress, sorry. I guess not a policy day, a congressional day. Just a reminder, we got about 50 minutes left. Thank you guys. You put a real dent in that gift goal. If we can knock that out by the end, that would be greatly, greatly appreciated. Jen's not here, so she's not going to remind me, so I'm going to forget. Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, and Super Chats. That's the way to do it. I'll read anything that you send me, and that includes you, MAGA. If you want me to read shit that you have to say, if I miss it in the comments, be like everybody else, and you can Super Chat it, and I'll read it, and I'll happily respond to any question that you have. All right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate that. Mr. Director Ratcliffe, you just described this.
I like that. Trust the science and get another vaccine. I will trust the science, and I will get more vaccines. Thank you.
Specific campaign that the president is engaged in, the country's engaged in, with respect to Iran. I think the campaign has been one, in my view, without a specific rationale for the American people. 19 days into President Trump's unauthorized war with Iran, and by which I mean there has been no congressional approval, at least 13 American service members are dead and many others are injured. Yet President Trump has offered no credible justification for the
We'll stop it right there, because maybe I missed it. I wasn't on the internet a lot yesterday. Over the weekend, I missed some stuff. For the MAGA in the chat, can anybody tell me what the imminent threat was? Just in case. I don't want to play this whole video if somehow I've missed that they've told us what the imminent threat was. As far as I know, and from this the testimony in this meeting, the imminent threat was Trump felt like it. Can you guys tell me while this is playing if you know any? Do I think Democrats would have not gone to war in Iran? No. No, red bastard. Fucking no. No. Netanyahu has told every president in my lifetime that there was an imminent threat by Iran and that we needed to bomb them. He has been begging every president to do this. And this is confirmed by the staffs of Joe Biden, of Donald Trump, of Obama, of Bush. Every president has been they've attempted to lure them into a war with Iran. No. Harris would have not have been dragged into. Donald Trump is likely the only person, Republican or Democrat, who had a real shot that would have been. I mean, maybe Nikki Haley would have. I don't even think Ron DeSantis would have been dragged into this. No, I think that Trump was unique in that it literally didn't take much, and they're all saying it. Everybody around him was like, well, he just had a feeling that it was a threat. They can't articulate a threat. Most people, like most presidents, they don't have that type of support like Trump does. Even Obama, who was really popular, he could not have come out and told Democrats, I had a feeling there was a threat, and have everybody support him. Nobody has ever supported a president the way that you guys support Donald Trump. It has never happened. This is very, very unique.
Threat, no clear goals, no strategy or...
No, if this was Israel's plan, they would have done it either way. No, they need us. Israel can't win this war on their own. They need us. And you'll notice what Israel's doing in this war. The United States is going after like critical infrastructure. What is Israel doing? They're assassinating leaders. They're infiltrating Iran. They're trying to create a civil war in Iran. They're trying to destabilize the entire region. Israel is now using us as cover to go do a bunch of fucked up shit. And we'll get to that here in a minute. Like all sorts of war crimes under the cover of the United States because Donald Trump is fucking stupid or corrupt or a mix of both. But there's no reason for us to be engaged in this.
Timeline. His message keeps changing, I think, in really damaging ways. President Trump said Iran's nuclear facilities had been, quote, totally obliterated in June 2025. But when he launched this latest war, he said we need to eliminate the imminent nuclear threat of those totally obliterated nuclear facilities. President Trump has threatened to seize Iranian oil and demanded our allies reopen the Strait of Hormuz. He said that I'm demanding that these countries come in and protect their own territory because it's their territory. It's the place from which they get their energy. By the way, he wasn't just asking for our allies to protect or to bail them out in the Straits of Hormuz. He was asking China to bail them out in the Straits of Hormuz. And then he said maybe we shouldn't even be here at all because we don't need it. We have a lot of oil. And he said we do not need the help of anyone.
Pick a direction, Trump. He just gets to like change his opinion on why we're there every day.
President Trump has declared we've won the war. We won it in the first hour. But then he said we're not leaving until the job is finished. He said that there is practically nothing left to bomb, but then threatened to bomb Iran again, quote, just for fun. I think words that...
AR Bob, do you like the ideas of Democrats sending them pallets of money? AR, I will gladly answer that question, but you have to tell me where that money came from, and then I'll answer it. So AR Bob, where did the money, the pallets of cash, where did that money come from?
Probably have never come out of a military leader in the history of the United States of America. It shouldn't come out of the mouth of a civilian leader. President Trump said he will end the war when I feel it in my bones.
Oh, good.
And anytime I want to end it, it will end. But, Director, the war is not ending. It is escalating with thousands of U.S. Marines reportedly...
Came from the United States of America. What kind of fucking question? It did? So did we just print that money and give it to him? Is that what happened, Gander in flight? I would like you to look this up, Gander. Just Google, where did the money come from that Obama sent to Iran? And then I want you to come back and I want you to copy and paste that answer into the chat here. Thank you.
He's sailing toward Iran on an unclear mission, a mission that's become less clear over days, not more.
No, I know the answer. You don't. I need you to Google it, bud, and then you can copy and paste it.
Clear. Our airstrikes wiped out Iran's missiles and supreme leader. Nobody here, and certainly me, is shedding a tear for him. But the Iranian people now live under martial law. And by the way, no surprise to our intelligence agencies that that's the case. And the first of a puppet leader who's chosen by the IRGC. No surprise that to anybody on the Intelligence Committee. Iran closed the Strait of Hormuz and is holding the global economy hostage. No surprise to anybody who knows anything about U.S. intelligence. Launching drones at our embassies and military bases. No surprise. The president is surprised. nobody who has looked at our intelligence is surprised. Iran's nuclear program.
You guys, are you making sense of this yet? That's like 50 fucking reasons we've given now for why we're at war. It's 50 fucking reasons for why we're like it's a constantly evolving story. If you don't have your head inside Trump's asshole, you're confused. If you do, you're still confused, but you just say that you're not. No, this is all 4D chess. I'm just not a great 4D chess player.
Program is damaged, to be sure, but it still has a uranium.
Do we have another Robert? RTV asking for his fundraising goal of 200. That's right. And whatever you do, don't send money. Let the Republicans, that makes them mad. Do not help us with our gift goal. It makes them very mad.
Stockpile. We heard today from the DNI at the very beginning of this conversation that the regime is in place and they are going to rebuild their military capabilities, the ones that we are destroying right now. The question I think is raised, Director, about your specific engagement is whether it will become a perpetual war, because what Iran will do is exactly what they have always done, and which the DNI is saying they will do again. In its briefings to the committee, the Intelligence Committee has been clear-eyed about what would happen in the Straits of Hormuz, has been clear-eyed about whether or not our military bases, our embassies, and our personnel in the region would be placed at risk and in harm's way, even though the administration did very little to protect them.
All right.
I know, Director Radcliffe, that you warned President Trump that if Israel assassinated the supreme leader, the IRGC would replace him with potentially a harder line puppet. In fact, I think what was clear is that the likelihood was that it would be a hard line puppet. Do you disagree with that characterization of the intelligence?
To that specific question, what we knew was, first of all, I guess I have to address up front, so much of what you related in there, the difference between political rhetoric versus...
Not political rhetoric. I'm quoting the President of the United States.
That was crazy. That sounded like political rhetoric. Yeah, it did. We were quoting him. Those were all direct quotes.
Political rhetoric versus military.
It was sanctioned money. There you go, Bob. It wasn't sanctioned money. It was from an arms deal. You know, we can get back to the pallets. It was an arms deal from like the 70s, and it wasn't U.S. currency. It was a mix of currencies. I think there was euros, there was francs. I don't know. There were probably pounds in there. I don't know. But it was the first installment of a $1.7 billion settlement from a 1979 arms deal. And what it coincided with is we agreed to the settlement and we used leverage to release American hostages. So yeah, it was their money. That's what happened. And what you guys do because you hate Obama so much is you're mad at Obama for giving Iran their money that was owed to them. There's nothing that makes you guys more upset than giving people money that they're owed if those people are Muslim.
Director, I'll
difference between that and military and intelligence execution. But here's the most important thing. You mischaracterized this as saying there aren't clearly defined goals. The defined goals are very clear. Degrade and destroy the missile inventory and drone inventory, delay and degrade the military industrial base and factories that produce that, degrade and destroy the IRGC Navy that could control the Strait. These are all defined goals that were set out specifically. The premise of the question is that...
time back, Mr. Chairman. I can't get a word in edgewise. He won't answer the question, and then he's taking...
Robert, we talked about California yesterday. Maybe I should do a whole live stream on California and the policies that work and fail, because when you leave it up to Nick Shirley, you come off looking like a fucking idiot. But... California is the fourth largest economy in the world. That's a wild thing to say, and this is like the stupidity of MAGA. where you guys point at California all the time and you're like, the failed state of California. Have you fucking been to California? That's a great goddamn state. They have some of the greatest cities in the world. You ever been to LA? Just go anywhere. Just walk half a mile in any direction and you'll have the best food you ever had in your life. Every state has problems. Every state has poor people. Every state has homeless people. California has more problems because they have more people, but they also pay red state bills. They give more of their money to the federal government than they get back. So you're out there living in a red state. It's likely that part of the reason your state can pay their bills is because of California. So when red states start contributing in the way that California does, we can talk about, but we've talked about policies in California. I don't live in California. And I don't cover state politics. I cover national politics. If I was covering state politics, I would cover the politics here in Arizona. But it's crazy that you guys do this all the time. Can you pay attention, Robert, now? We're talking about your dumb fuck president and your dumb fuck national intelligence that can't tell us why we're in a war with Iran right now that's costing us at least $2 billion a day. I don't want to hear about California until you guys can tell us why we're spending $2 billion a day. They just asked for $200 billion more. When you can explain, Robert, why we are at war with Iran, then maybe we can get back to California.
A minute of my time.
You're both big boys. You can handle it yourself.
Okay, well, Director, I agree that you are, and I appreciate what you're saying. And I'm not. My point is not what your characterization of the war is. My point is what the characterization, the commander
about regime change?
I'm not asking you anymore.
Thanks, Adrian, for joining the Dollar Train. Got about 25 minutes left. We got to knock that out, get the Dollar Train, or Jen's going to beat me.
Mr. Director, I'm sorry because I'm out of time because of how you use the time. The complete lack of clarity should matter to everybody. President Trump, most of all, he is the person that got elected on the criticism that we had fought 2 wars in the Middle East that had lasted for 20 years. And now we're hearing the testimony is to get their ballistic missiles, to not even get to the nuclear stuff, we're going to have to be in a perpetual war with Iran. And I don't think that's where the American people are on this. This is a serious threat. This is a serious threat to us and to Israel. The question is how to handle it. And President Trump said, we are not the...
I don't even agree with that. Like, I don't understand what this big threat from Iran is. I would love if somebody could explain it.
Policeman of the world.
Oh, yeah, that's right, Captain. I am staying a little late today.
Ran on that. And now he's turned us into the world's policeman, into its jury, into its judge, into its executioner. And just because we have the most advanced military in the world,
Senator Time has
that we should be in a perpetual war all around the world.
All right. Dolphin said, fuck Robert and that other guy. Stay jelly, MAGA. All right. Let's keep going here. Let's talk more about Iran. All right. Now we have Tulsi Gabbard here with... Is this Rep. Barra? Yeah, Barra posted this. Just a reminder before we get into Tulsi Gabbard's testimony that when Tulsi Gabbard was popular for a minute, she was popular because she didn't believe in regime change. And she was very popular for being an outspoken opponent of Donald Trump and engaging in regime change activities in Iran. This was her in 2020.
President Trump has committed an illegal and unconstitutional act of war, pushing our nation headlong into a war with Iran without any authorization from Congress. A war that would be so costly and devastating, it would make our wars in Iraq and Afghanistan look like a picnic. In doing so, he has undermined our national security in 2 critical ways. Number one, Iran is no longer complying with the Iran nuclear agreement and is quickly speeding forward in developing their nuclear weapons capability, putting us and the world at greater risk. Number two, our troops in Iraq are no longer focusing on preventing a resurgence of ISIS and al-Qaeda. Instead, all of their efforts are now focused on Iranian forces and Iranian...
Did we knock out in the war on terrorism? Did we knock out terrorism? What's going to be different about this time when we're fighting terrorism? How are we going to win this time, but we couldn't win in Iraq and Afghanistan?
...back Shia militias. Congress must act today to stop further escalation of this war. Vote yes on H-Con Res 8-3 to uphold the Constitution, which we all took an oath to support. Vote yes to stop Trump's war with Iran.
All right. So that was Tulsi Gabbard back when she had a spine. And now Tulsi Gabbard is a totally different person. This is John Ossoff with Tulsi. And I just want Tulsi. People want to shit on Tulsi, and that's I can't stand who she has become. But Tulsi Gabbard is really smart. And she does know what she's talking about when it comes to regime change war. She's been like a leading advocate of this her entire career until now, where she's just been completely sidelined by the Trump administration. I would guess that if you could get Tulsi Gabbard off the record one-on-one, I would bet that she fucking hates this. But she's not going to be able to say it. And the reason I think that is because she's not as defiant as other members of the Trump administration when she talks about this. She distances herself from from the decision making that Trump has made, but she won't criticize him. I think that this was like her one issue, and I do think she firmly believed that regime change war was not only wrong, but it led that the outcomes were always worse than had we left it alone. And so this has to fucking suck for her, but she deserves it. Nobody deserves it more. You're going to be a turncoat like that, and you're going to jump in on board with a fascist? Sorry, this is the way that it goes. Axe said Dollar Train. Fuck off, Robert. There you go, Robert. Less heat for Robert today.
Under the law, you are responsible for providing national intelligence to the president, correct?
Yes.
And to the heads of executive branch departments and agencies, yes?
Yes.
And to the chairman of the Joint Chiefs and senior military commanders?
Across the IC, yes.
And to the Senate and the House and relevant committees, correct?
Yes.
And the law states that the national intelligence you provide to Congress, quote, should be timely, objective, and independent of political considerations, correct?
Yes.
And you noted in your opening statement you're here fulfilling a statutory responsibility and that your testimony, quote, represents the IC's assessment of threats,
That's right.
correct? That opening statement, as submitted to the committee in advance of this hearing, stated that as a result of last summer's airstrikes, quote, Iran's nuclear enrichment program was obliterated, end quote, correct?
That's right.
That's her intelligence community report yesterday. Yesterday. Trump's own intelligence community is telling you that their nuclear capabilities were destroyed. So they clearly didn't have a nuke, right? Because it was going to take years to rebuild that. So that's not the imminent threat. Just want to point that out. Not one single person here pointed to an imminent threat. Not one. Donald Trump is the only one who's claiming imminent threat, and he's saying, I felt like it was.
And is that in fact the assessment of the intelligence community?
Yes.
So the assessment of the intelligence community is that Iran's nuclear enrichment program was obliterated by last summer's airstrikes.
Yes.
In the opening statement you submitted to the committee last night.
Thank you, Deborah. Appreciate that. That was, I'll just say it, that's Draco's Rose, Dollar Train for Robert to complain, cry harder, maggots. Here to keeping the lights on. I always look forward to your lives every week. WJ, WGen, W Mods. And just for reference, Robert, that was a $100 donation. So fuck you, dude.
Also stated, quote, there has been no effort since then to try to rebuild their enrichment capability, end quote, correct?
That's right.
And that's the assessment of the intelligence community.
Yes.
The White House stated on March 1st of this year that this war was launched and was, quote, a military campaign to eliminate the imminent nuclear threat posed by the Iranian regime, end quote. That's a statement from the White House. Quote, the imminent nuclear threat posed by the Iranian regime. Was it the assessment of the intelligence community that there was an imminent nuclear threat posed by the Iranian regime?
About to get that answer. This was beautiful by Ossoff. But if anybody in like mainstream news was honest, this would be the story. The story is that Trump's own intelligence community came before the Senate yesterday and would not agree that there was an imminent threat. Not one of them. Not one of them was willing to stand with Donald Trump yesterday. They all instead deferred to him, but none of them were willing to say, here's some information that would back up what he says. Now, he's supposed to take his advice from them. It's correct that he's the commander-in-chief, but what they're all telling him, and what they're all telling all of you, is that the United States of America has no evidence that there was an imminent threat, meaning that we bombed Iran because Trump had a feeling that we should.
The intelligence community assessed that Iran maintained the intention to rebuild and to continue to grow their nuclear enrichment capability.
Was it the assessment of the intelligence community that there was a, quote, imminent nuclear threat posed by the Iranian regime, yes or no?
Senator, the only person who can determine what is and is not an imminent threat is the president.
False.
See? Jennifer said Antifa dues, more important than ever. That's right. Get those. Make sure you get your monthly Antifa dues in before the end of the month. Sunlit Angel said Dollar Train, and so Jen doesn't beat you. I appreciate that. She is incredibly violent.
This is the worldwide. This is the worldwide
Go back a
threats
little bit
hearing
there.
where you.
Not an imminent threat is the president.
False.
and
This
he
is the
made that
worldwide. This is the
determination.
worldwide threats hearing where you present to Congress national intelligence. Time.
Now, that's the other part, is that this is, again, further proof that nobody in this administration views this other in any other way than a fascist administration. They have oversight over her. She is required by constitutionally to come before them and share this type of intelligence. She is obligated to do this. So she should have something, and if she doesn't have something, then we know that it's just the executive branch who's deciding on their own. But they should have the same information. She has to give them that information. Now, if it's classified, she can't do it here. They have to do that in a classified setting, and not everybody's going to be read in on that. But she's not saying, I can't do this right now because we're not in a classified setting. She instead is saying, Trump, this was Trump's call. I didn't give him any information that said there was an imminent threat. This was his call.
Objective and independent of political considerations. You've stated today that the intelligence community's assessment is that Iran's nuclear enrichment program was obliterated and that, quote, there had been no efforts since then to try to rebuild their enrichment capability. Was it the intelligence community's assessment that nevertheless, despite this obliteration, there was a, quote, imminent nuclear threat posed by the Iranian regime? Yes or no?
It is not the intelligence community's responsibility to determine what is and is not an imminent threat.
Okay.
That is up to
Here's
the
the
president
problem.
based on a volume
No,
of
it is
information
precisely
that he receives.
it is precisely your responsibility to determine what constitutes a threat to the United States. This is the worldwide threats hearing where, as you noted in your opening testimony, quote, you represent the IC's assessment of threats. You are here to represent the IC's assessment of threats. That's a quote from your own opening statement. And so my question is, as you're here to present the IC's assessment of threats, was it the assessment of the intelligence community that, as the White House claimed on March 1st, there was a, quote, imminent nuclear threat posed by the Iranian regime? Yes or no?
Once again, Senator, the intelligence community has provided the inputs that make up this annual threat assessment.
You won't answer the question.
It is the nature of the imminent threat that the president has to make that determination based on a collection and volume
You're here
of
to be
information and
timely.
intelligence that he is provided with.
You're here to be timely, objective, and
I mean, look, she's being evasive. She's not wrong. It is his choice. But the reason that she's being evasive is she doesn't want anything on the record that allows somebody in a quick clip to show what she really means. Like, she needs her answers to be kind of confusing and vague. But what she is saying is, I don't have any evidence that there was an imminent threat. None of us do. Now, the president can get intelligence from other people. He can get it from other countries, which is a problem. But I don't have anything. She's not wrong, but she's definitely being careful with how she says it, because if it gets back to Trump and she's like, nah, I didn't think there was an imminent threat, she's done. She's cooked. She's fired tomorrow. She cannot say that. So she has to dance around it. But That's what happens in fascism.
Independent of political considerations.
Exactly what I'm doing.
No, you're evading a question because to provide a candid response to the committee would contradict a statement from the White House.
Yeah. Everybody knows what they're doing there. You guys know. You just like it. All right. Now, here's Jason Crow with Tulsi Gabbard. This was shocking because what's kind of crazy about this war with Iran, or what does Trump call it? He calls it incursion because he doesn't know the difference between excursion and incursion, or is it the other way around? What was alarming about the intelligence agencies here is that not only did they not have answers for why there was an imminent threat, they also don't seem to have any sort of answer as far as like what's actually happening on the ground. It seems like they're more confused now than they were before. And Jason Crow did an amazing job here. But we hear reports all the time, and they're sometimes right, sometimes wrong, about Iranian leadership. Pete Hegseth has said that they're all underground, that they're all injured. We don't know if that's true. They haven't given us any information to confirm that. So we're all left like, it seems like everybody is guessing. And depending on who you speak to from this administration, you're going to get wildly different answers. There's no cohesion of thought here, which is not a sign of a good leader.
Director,
he calls it excursion instead of incursion. That's right.
Gabbard, it is your job and the job of your agency and department to assess the views of Iranian leadership, their policy beliefs and policy positions, correct?
Yes.
That includes now deceased Ali Khamenei of Iran, correct?
Yes.
And the now leader, his son Mujtaba Khamenei, correct?
Yes.
The son is considered more of a hardliner than his father. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
So hardline that even some of Iran's leaders thought he was too aggressive. Isn't that correct?
That is the intelligence community assessment, yes.
Mujtaba, the son, is particularly close to the brutal...
If you're not following that, the leader that we killed was less radical than the leader who has replaced him. So this is part of the reason why you don't want regime change wars. When you go in and you try and change the regime, if the regime has enough popularity, it doesn't have to be a majority popularity, but if they have consolidated enough power and they have enough popularity, the next person up is likely going to be more radical than the last one, because the last one they'll see is like, oh, they weren't quite tough enough. So that's why we don't do this, because every time it leads to somebody more radical. And the unifying speech, like think of 9/11 here. What unified us as a country in that moment? Revenge. We all wanted revenge. We were pumped. Like it was like 80+% of America was like, let's go fuck them up. That type of stuff unifies people. Look at if you saw the World Baseball Classic when the Venezuelans beat the United States. I don't know if you saw that. It was kind of weird. Like, one, I admittedly I was rooting for Venezuela because I wanted some good things to happen to them. I don't really care about baseball at all. But the people in Venezuela have gone through hell. A lot of it because of their own leadership. A lot of it because of us. And their country, like they literally just had the president of their country kidnapped and taken to another country. That's a crazy thing to happen. The last pitch of the game, the pitcher was literally crying before he threw it. And you watch the reaction from those people of Venezuela, and it was like finally something good happened. But these people, like that will be a unifying experience for them. But what's happening in Iran right now, and our lack of precision, is going to take fence sitters and turn them against us. If you were a fence sitter and your apartment complex got bombed and everybody in your family died except for you because you were out of the house, do you think you would come back like knowing that it was either Israel or the United States that bombed your apartment complex? Do you think anybody in Iran is going to come back to their house in rubble with their family all dead and go, God, it was probably our fault? It was probably our own fault that this happened. Of course they're not going to do that. They are far more likely to be radicalized. So with every one of these missteps that we make outside of even just decapitating their leadership, bombing a school, bombing apartment buildings, a journalist was Israel almost killed a journalist today. I'll show you the video here in a minute. That radicalizes people. So we're not, because we have no strategy here and because it's incoherent, We are creating not only problems for ourselves with Iranians, but also the neighbors. Now southern Lebanon is under attack. Now, like the Saudi, somebody said, ask the Qataris, the Saudis, the UAE. Yeah, do ask them. I bet they wish they weren't being bombed right now. And I bet that there's people in that country now who are blaming the United States. Because none of this was happening until the United States started bombing Iran. So yeah, like, and then our own allies, like we're ruining all of our goodwill with our own allies. This is the dumbest fucking war we could possibly fight. It's destroying our alliances all over the world. And it seems like, based on the information we're getting here, is that we're doing this because Trump said so, and that's it. That's the whole reason. You guys are paying more for gas because Trump wanted to go to war. What, we're not getting anything. You weren't the IC here. The IC report is telling you there was no imminent threat. None of you were in danger. But then Trump's like, yeah, you were. Let's go to war. And you're like, all right, cool. I'll pay more for gas.
Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps and their most hardline commanders, correct?
That is the intelligence community assessment.
He was involved in ordering violent crackdowns on Iranian protesters, including their...
Robert's running this up auction style now. I know the 49ers suck, but can you leave me alone for a second? Make fun of like what I look like or something, or my politics. I'm sensitive about the 49ers. Giants suck too. Just give me a break.
Murder, correct?
Yes.
And we don't know if the son will continue his father's religious ban on developing nuclear weapons. Is that correct?
It is unknown at this time.
You testified before this committee last year that the elder, now deceased, Khamenei...
Yes, I do think Trump didn't consult the rest of the Middle East countries. You know why? Because they all said that. Have you not been following this, Tony Tigris? I appreciate you being here and being wrong as per usual, but are you unaware of this? They didn't know. He didn't. I'll get to it later, but yeah, dude. Are you just guessing? Trump would never, and then he does it. Yeah, they didn't. They're putting these other countries who are supposed to be like on our side in jeopardy. Yeah, no, he didn't. He didn't work with them. I'll show you some reporting here in a minute.
Had in 2003 banned
what about Pearl Harbor?
the nuclear weapons program, or suspended it, correct?
There was a fatwa in place.
Can't lie, loving the fuck Robert trend.
That stated that.
And that fatwa remained in place last year when you testified before this committee, correct?
Yes.
And that fatwa remained in place recently, correct?
As far as I know, it has not been lifted.
We know better. That's Tony Tigris. We know better. Do you? Give me an example, Tony.
Lifted.
Yeah, you're aware of no information that would lift that fatwa.
I'm not aware of any intelligence reporting that states that. To be clear on the Mojtaba, the son who has been named to replace him, it is unclear of his status or his involvement. He was injured very severely through one of the Israeli strikes. And so the decision-making is unclear about what's happening in the Iranian leadership.
So it's unclear. So we're less certain of the positions of Iranian leadership and their intentions than we were 60 days ago, correct?
That's an accurate assessment.
Okay.
That's not good. Now we know less. That's what our own intelligence agencies are telling us. This is so haphazard that now we know even less about what the Iranian leadership is doing. Great. Great. Good thing we ripped up that Iranian nuclear agreement. Glad we did that. You can make a really good argument that Trump is doing this for China or for Russia. All right. Now we've got Representative Cohen with Kash Patel. And if you remember that recently, I think it was earlier this week, could have been the end of last week, Kash Patel fired a bunch of people who would have been experts on Iran. And the reporting coming out, though Kash isn't going to confirm this, is that the reason those people were fired is because they worked on the classified documents case. Now, we do know that they worked on the classified documents case, all of them. We do know that the FBI fires people who worked on the classified documents case. We also know that they always claim it was for something else. But it left, I mean, if you fire 12 people with expertise here, that leaves us at the very least, under less staffed. I don't want to say understaffed, but less staffed.
How many days before we invaded Iran did you know we were going to launch an invasion?
We can get into those details in a classified setting, but I work with my colleagues across the spectrum here to give me advance warning so that we can reinforce.
Was it 2 days, 3 days, a month?
It was sometime before that, sir.
Sometime before that. So you had done.
Thank you, Tanya. It wasn't me says Hy-Vee is the place from which I get my groceries. It doesn't make it mine. And if I drive my car through their front fucking window, I can expect not to be allowed to shop there anymore. Thank you, Adrian.
With that knowledge, why did you fire at least a dozen agents in Counterintelligence Unit 12 that specializes in Iran counterintelligence, which makes us much less secure and safe with this war going on from Iranian attacks potentially against our country?
As I said,
what do you mean I don't mention Israel? As far as like, was Israel okay? Yeah, if you're asking me, was Israel aware that we were going to attack? Yes. My guess is because they drug us into that. But yeah, Israel obviously was aware.
Earlier, Congressman, I don't work on timelines when these terminations occur. There are internal investigations conducted by the careers at the FBI that highlight unethical or inappropriate conduct, and it's up to me to make the decision. But our Iran Threats Mission Center has never been more resourced. As I've highlighted, a 43% increase in counter-espionage arrests from Iran alone, and 360 ongoing terrorism investigations with Iran-affiliated
individuals. And the people you fired, those 12 people, they were experts on Iran, were they not?
I don't believe so.
They worked in counterintelligence, did they not?
I'm taking you at your word, sir. I'm not familiar with every
You're the
single
chief
word.
director. I'm not. You should know the answer. You fired the people. Where did they work?
People were terminated for violating their ethical obligations and the high standards.
Was
that we
the ethical
have.
violations that they dealt with the case of the classified documents that were found at the bathroom in Mar-a-Lago, was that the ethical issue?
As I said earlier, all those matters are pending litigation, so I'm not going to comment on them.
What was the threat, Tony Tigris, then? I know you're citing Kamala Harris now. What was the threat? I believe that Iran is a threat, specifically to any of our armed forces that are in the Middle East. I agree with that. I don't believe they were an imminent threat on us. And the reason I don't believe they are an imminent threat is because nobody can give me any evidence that they were an imminent threat. If they give us, if they came out tomorrow and they showed that Iran was an imminent threat, then I would believe it. And ironically, if I did that tomorrow, you guys would go, see, told you so, which just means you believe shit without evidence. I just want evidence. I'm 100% okay changing my mind on whether Iran was an imminent threat or not. I'm under no illusion that the Iranians were that specifically, like that leadership, were good people. I'm under no illusion that they wouldn't want to exact revenge on what they feel were slights from the Americans. I wouldn't be surprised if there was an imminent threat, but I need evidence because I live here. I've seen our government lie over and over and over again. I don't trust the government, especially when it comes to intel gathered from Israel about other countries in the Middle East. They're 0 for a lifetime. They're wrong every fucking time. And I don't know, Tony Tigris, why you're not that same way. Like, why would you be any different than me? Why would you just choose to believe it? Why wouldn't you want some evidence? Why doesn't this bother you that there's no evidence here? That's the part that is a little bit strange to me for all of you. You guys you love Donald Trump that much that you're just going to keep saying with your whole chest that there was an imminent threat, despite the fact that none of you can tell me what the imminent threat was. It just was. What, you think they would lie? Yeah, I think they would lie. Do I think they could tell the truth? Sure. But I won't know until we have some sort of answer. And that doesn't need to be classified. You don't have to give us all the details. Tell us something. Trump has told us. I felt like it. That's not an imminent threat, unless you're just like a Trump dick rider, which, I mean, you're here a lot, Tony, so we know who you are, but that's what it seems like. It's just weird that you would believe it without evidence. Okay, and then last clip, I think, from here, from Tulsi and Radcliffe here being questioned by Representative, or I guess Senator Castro.
Are the goals aligned?
Are you talking about Israel and the United States? Are our goals aligned? Now, maybe you guys can offer some pushback here, because I think they should be aligned. I think that this is not only strange but dangerous that our goals and the goals of Israel are not aligned, because it's almost impossible for Iran to tell who attacked them at that time. So potentially Israel, loves, one of their favorite things to do is commit war crimes. If Israel is committing war crimes and it's not clear if Israel did it or we did it, there's collateral damage there. We have troops in the region. And so perhaps then Iran would take a war crime by Israel and take it out on the United States. Call me crazy as somebody who doesn't want to see American lives lost, but perhaps we should be coordinating with Israel and that our goals should be aligned. But it seems like what Israel wants to do is have the U.S. do all the heavy lifting while they go in and assassinate leadership and try and install a shadow government so that Israel's in control of Iran again, which, stupid, really fucking stupid, because regimes fall. So even, like, how many times does the U.S. have to do this? We go in, we install our own leadership, we fund a revolt, we fund a revolution, and either we are actively involved or we pay for that revolution. And eventually the people of that country get tired of being cucks to America, and they rise up and they radicalize and they take out the U.S. installed leadership, and then they fucking hate the United States, and then they react to the United States, or they counterattack the United States, and now we've got more hostilities. Go ahead, tell me a time it worked. It doesn't ever fucking work. So Israel is doing like the actual regime change. We're just like bulldozing shit, and there's going to be collateral damage there. I think we should be aligned. One, we shouldn't be there, but if there was a reason for us to be there, I think we should probably be aligned.
The objectives that have been laid out by the president are different from the objectives that have been laid out by the Israeli government.
And how do they differ?
We can see through the operations that the Israeli government has been focused on disabling the Iranian leadership and taking out several members, obviously beginning with the Ayatollah, the supreme leader. And they continue to focus on that effort.
And how does that differ from our goals?
The president has stated that his objectives are to destroy Iran's ballistic missile launching capability, their ballistic missile production capability, and their Navy, the IRGC Navy.
Now, even this, like, this is too far for me. Tons of countries, not every country, but tons of countries have ICBM capabilities. Tons of countries have navies. They're allowed to. We're destroying their armed forces and their missile building technology for what reason? Why is that even our goal? They're not going to rebuild it? Whoever takes over next isn't going to rebuild that? I cannot for the life of me figure out what the fuck we're doing over there. We're just gonna destroy their army just because?
Navy and mine laying capability.
So the death and destruction continues. The economic cost to the United States, to Israel, to the Gulf states, and to the world continues to increase.
TJ, I hear you. This is the thing, and I hear what you're saying, and I know that works. Like you said, Trump's trying to kill the head of the snake. It's been a problem for over 200 years. I don't think your 200 years number is accurate, but that's what they said about Saddam Hussein. That's what we always say, and it never fucking works. I don't have a problem with the idea that Iran is a problem or potentially could be a problem. That's not the argument here. The argument is the process by which we go about this has been tried and failed over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. This is pouring regular unleaded into a diesel tank and then just expecting there to be no problems. We know, like, it's 100% of the time it doesn't work. I would just say, TJ, like, focus less on what you think Trump is trying to do and think of the outcome. Like, what can he actually accomplish? They could wipe out the entire Iranian leadership, which, by the way, Trump says he's not doing. So even you saying that isn't true. That's what Israel is trying to do. Trump says specifically, we're not doing regime change, that we're just taking out their military. But even if that was true, it doesn't fucking work. So don't support it just because you like Trump. Don't support it because he's got he's got good intentions. It doesn't fucking work. Whether you are pro Iran or not, you can have a wide opinion on how evil Iran is, but this type of war has never fucking worked, and we wind up paying for it. And decades later, everybody admits that it was wrong. Everybody admits it was a waste of money. Everybody admits that it was to help the oil companies. And what do we have here? Record profits for oil companies. We're paying for it at the rate right now of $2 billion per day. There's no real objective, no real outcome that looks like it will be something that is long lasting.
So I want to ask you, to the best of your knowledge, do you know whether Israel is supportive of the president's call to make a deal with Iran?
I don't know the answer to that. I don't know Israel's position on that.
And to what?
The people we're in war with. She doesn't know their position. We don't know their position. Are we not communicating?
Do you attribute Israel's decision to strike Iranian energy infrastructure?
Oh, I missed some. Go fuck yourself, Robert from Tex GN. Appreciate that. I've got 2 more videos, and then we'll be out of here. So about 15 more minutes. If you want to help me knock out that gift goal, that'd be great. If you'd like me to be beat by Jen, don't help knock out that gift goal. If you want to piss off Robert, do. If you don't want to piss off Robert, don't. It's in your hands.
Despite President Trump's call to keep those facilities off limits.
I don't have an answer for that.
So they ignored the president. Do you agree with that?
I'm not privy to any of their deliberations or what went into their calculus in launching this or other attacks. I'm not. We are not involved with in the operational element of this. We're providing continuously on a daily basis the intelligence assessments of the events that are occurring, and
I guess I know the FBI can't because they're domestic, but can anybody else at the table provide any insight into that?
I guess I'm not sure what the question you're asking, Congressman Castro. I guess a couple of things. The goals that the president set out are clearly defined. The DNI related those. What was not included is a goal of the U.S.
Well, Director, let me start with this. Let me start with this question. You asked what my question is. Let me reclaim my time, Director. Come on. Do you know why Israel decided to strike that infrastructure despite the fact that the president said it should be off limits?
I wouldn't speak for Israel.
What?
Good, but why can't anybody answer the question? Why are we letting Israel do things that we said should be off limits, like taking out their oil fields? What is Israel's doing us no favors? Why are we letting them do that?
What do you guys know? We're at war. What do you guys know?
We'll have to take that for the record.
18th of June, 25, AP Tulsi Gabbard left no doubt when she testified to Congress about Iran's nuclear program earlier this year. Yeah, I showed that clip earlier. Yeah.
Yes, let's take.
Tony, what's the threat? You gotta stop doing this, bud. What is the threat? What imminent threat did Iran pose to us? You can keep saying that like everybody's stupid for not knowing, but it's weird that you don't have an answer and you're still calling other people stupid. All right. I'm going to hop to Mike Johnson here. Because Mike Johnson directly going against what now the intelligence communities are saying. This was a couple days ago. I don't know if he knew that they were going to come testify, but looks like Mike Johnson was lying here.
I'm on the Gang of Eight. I got all the briefings. We all understand.
Yeah, Tony. Iran was a threat long before Trump did. How are they an imminent threat? Even what you're saying right there, if it was long before Trump entered politics, that wouldn't be imminent. Imminent threat, not threat, Tony. Imminent threat. Oh, you already did the Ask UAE, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia. Last time, Tony, then you're done for the day. Last time, Tony, what is the imminent threat? Mike Johnson.
There was clearly an imminent threat that Iran was very close to the enrichment of nuclear capability, and they were building missiles at a pace that no one in the region could keep up with.
Okay, so he was lying, right? Because our own intelligence community said that they were not doing that. So he either got bad information or he's lying there.
They were far outpacing our allies and friends and us in our defense capability, because we had personnel, installations, members of the armed services, and civilians in the region. Iran was building up ballistic missiles at such a rapid pace, and we knew that their plan was to fire them upon Americans.
We don't know that. Nobody has provided any intelligence that says they were building up their ICBMs to fire upon Americans. The ICA report did not say that. He's making that up.
The commander-in-chief and his administration had a very difficult decision to make. I don't know where Joe Kent is getting his information, but he wasn't in those briefings, clearly, because the Secretary of State...
Well, Joe Kent, who they're smearing right here, agrees with the ICA report. So where did you get your information, Mike? Because the intelligence community who you're claiming gave you this information is saying the exact opposite.
Secretary of War and everyone, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Kane, they had exquisite intelligence, and we understood that this was a serious moment for us. Had the president waited, I am personally convinced that we would have mass casualties of Americans, service members and others, and our installations would have been dramatically damaged.
Yeah, you're personally convinced, but you don't have evidence.
And so we had to...
What does that say? They don't need evidence to be convinced. It took no evidence for them to be like, yeah, fuck it, bomb them.
The president felt that he had to strike first to prevent those mass casualties. That's the summary. I can't tell you the classified part, but that's the summary that's made public, and it's accurate. Yeah, Manu.
All right. Where is this? Here it is. I'm going to skip here. All right. I just want to talk about the Strait of Hormuz, then we'll get out of here. And I'll update the gift goal while we're going there. Then we'll be done. But here was Caroline Leavitt responding to the question that I don't know if you can hear it or not. It says Trump says other countries should step up to safeguard ships in the Strait of Hormuz, which is crazy. Trump's like, I'm going to go bomb another country, and then you guys all have to step up and protect them. The question then was, why should other countries that were not consulted about this war now put their troops in harm's way?
Caroline, President Trump says that other countries should now step up to safeguard ships in the Straits of Hormuz. Why should other countries that weren't consulted about this war, that are involved in this war, now put their troops in harm's way in the Strait of Hormuz?
Because these other countries are benefiting greatly from the United States military taking out the threat of Iran. The rogue Iranian regime has long not just posed a threat to the United States of America, but of course to our Gulf and Arab partners in the region. As you see, I believe...
yeah, they weren't a threat until we bombed them, and then they bombed us back. It's like if you punch somebody in the face and then they punch you back. You're like, see, I told you they were a threat.
Iran has struck more than 300 civilian targets in the Gulf region.
And Israel has struck thousands over the course of the last couple of years. And the United States bombed a school. Everybody's doing it. It's such a bizarre fucking thing to watch this administration stand on a moral high ground like, they're bombing civilians. So the fuck are we? Who do you think are in those apartment buildings? Who's in that school? Yes, they are doing that. Yes, so are we. Why are we pretending that we're not?
If you think about Europe, their ballistic missile capability that the United States military is currently wiping out was a direct and imminent threat to our European allies as well as our bases in the region, which is why President Trump took this action in the first place. So these countries are absolutely benefiting from ensuring that Iran can never obtain a nuclear weapon. This is something not just the United States, but the entire Western world has agreed with for many, many years.
Somebody explain, Billy, what
I think the president
means.
is absolutely right to call on these countries to do more to help the United States to reopen the Strait of Hormuz so that we can stop this terrorist regime from restricting the free flow of energy. And the fact that they are doing so just underscores why President Trump needed to take this action in the first place.
It's annoying to watch somebody like just obfuscate like this. We don't need to be in this war. I don't know why some of you are sitting here like pretending that you think we were justified for entering this war. You know that we're not. You just want to side with Trump. IMFRCD said, make another goofy accusation. Yeah, I like that. That's a good one for MAGA. All right. But don't worry. JD Vance will let you know. Don't worry about the prices, okay? It's fine. It's fine. They take solace in what? Catholic. Good Catholic here, JD Vance.
Is that we actually worked with a lot of our allies all over the world who are suffering from this, frankly, more than we are, because unlike the United States, where we've pursued an energy dominance agenda, you've got a lot of people all over the world who have focused on a lot of green energy scams, and they're hurting a lot more than we are.
Why would having renewable energy make you hurt more? If the more your infrastructure is tied to renewable energy right now, the better off you are. That makes no fucking sense. He's saying because we have gotten rid of renewable energy and we rely solely on oil that we're in a better place. That doesn't make sense. If oil prices are going up and everything we do is relying on oil, then we're going to pay more. But any country that uses more renewable energy would be doing better. The cost wouldn't be hitting them in the same way.
So as much as we got to focus on getting these gas prices down, the reality is overseas they're feeling it far worse than we did because we've taken the steps to protect our energy economy. So, for example, what we did working with these allies, we released hundreds of millions of barrels out of all these petroleum reserves so that we could put some downward pressure on prices. We're working on a number of things.
Yeah, how's that going? They coming down? Alfredo said for a 2-month naval buildup is premeditation. True. We did build up for months on end.
In fact, a couple of things that I think will be announced in just the next 24 to 48 hours. I don't want to get ahead of the president on that, but we recognize this is an issue. We are fighting against it, and we promise that when this conflict draws to a close, when this operation draws to a close, we're going to see those energy prices come back down to reality because that's what the president promised to do.
He promised to lower prices on day one. That didn't happen. They're not going to come back down here. Like I'm smart of him to say reality. Yeah, of course. Like what a promise. When we stop a war and we open the Strait of Hormuz, the prices will come back down. Oh, no shit? That's crazy. Thanks for the promise, JD. Will the sun come up tomorrow too? Awesome. Will we give him credit for both of those? Here's the math here. This is Scott Bessent, and this is where I just think that this administration, full of so many billionaires and lobbyists, are so disconnected from reality that they're starting to really fuck up on TV. Kevin Hassett the other day was like, yeah, we don't really care if prices go up. It's no big deal. I'm trying to remember Michelle Tafoya, who I don't remember where she's running as a Republican. She was on a radio show this morning saying, you just need to suck it up and pay more. You got to be patriotic and pay more for gas. Like they're just completely disconnected from reality. In fact, Michelle Tafoya said something like, I know it's inconvenient and it's frustrating. Yeah, for you, but for some people, they can't drive their car anymore. For some people, they won't be able to afford food because they were already paycheck to paycheck. So it's frustrating and inconvenient for you. But for a lot of people, this is like the difference between eating and not eating. But here's Scott Bessent, completely disconnected from where the rest of us are.
Effort. We had a break the glass plan across the administration and at Treasury. We unsanctioned Russian oil. We knew that there were about 130 million barrels on the water. And
okay, now remember, we said that like you could make an argument that this war benefits Russia, it benefits China, and it benefits people that we have sanctions on, and might benefit in the long run Iran. But Russia now gets to sell their oil, and at the same time we're taking sanctions off of Russian oil, Russia is selling weapons to Iran. So we're cutting Russia slack at the same time that we're not doing anything about them selling weapons to Iran. Cool idea. And they're saying this is like a break the glass scenario, which if you're saying break the glass scenario, the break the glass scenario is something that's not supposed to fucking happen. So he's admitting right now that them dropping these these sanctions on Russia, that this was not expected. It was a break the glass scenario, last resort. This isn't going as planned. This is, if things get really bad, we're going to have to let people buy Russian oil to see if we can keep prices down at least a little bit.
And we created supply that is beyond the Straits of Hormuz. So we anticipated
Thanks, Jackie.
this.
Hi, bestie.
We knew that there could be a temporary, and I want to emphasize temporary, choke point there. And there was 130 million barrels of floating storage.
But how temporary? That's the question. Nobody thinks that the Strait of Hormuz is going to be closed forever, but do you have any idea when? Because we're 2 weeks in and you've already gotten to the break your glass scenario, and Iran is saying we're not opening up the Strait of Hormuz. So if we've already gotten to the break the glass scenario, what's next?
In the coming days, we may unsanction the Iranian oil that's on the water. It's about 140 million barrels. So depending on how you count it, that's 10 days to 2 weeks of supply that the Iranians had been.
So now they're going to let the Iranians sell their oil too? So Russia gets to sell their oil and Iran gets to sell their oil. The Russia was the break your glass moment. And now the country we're at war with and we've been sanctioning forever. The sanctions were fine. Now we're at war. Now we have to, it's going so badly that we have to take off the sanctions. We want to explain how this is going well?
Pushing out, that would have all gone to China. In essence, we will.
Look, I see what you're saying. Like, you think he says we're going to steal the oil, but that wouldn't, the sanctions wouldn't matter then.
Water. It's about 140 million barrels. So depending on how you count it, that's 10 days to 2 weeks of supply that the Iranians had been pushing out. That would have all gone to China. In essence, we will be using the Iranian barrels against the Iranians to keep the price down for the next 10 or 14 days as we continue this campaign.
I'm not 100% sure what he's saying there. Did you say Russia deserves to sell their oil? The U.S. coup them in 2014 and caused the war to start? Yeah. Yeah. What choice did Russia have after they were sanctions put on them? They had no choice but to invade Ukraine. That's a good point. That's a really good point. They had no other options. All right, here's the math on this. The normal flows from the Strait of Hormuz is 20 to 21 million barrels per day, which is 20% of the global needs. Right now, that's taking out between 5.5 and 15 million barrels per day. Over a month, that's 450 million barrels that will be short. We've announced then through the U.S. and the IEA releases that we're going to start releasing 400 million barrels a day. That's from the reserves. But only 2 million a day can actually reach the market. So we have a $15 million shortage. We only have the capability to get 2. So we're going to be 13 million barrels a day short every single day. Over 25 days, depending on how you're averaging that, that's between like around 50 million barrels a day, which leaves a $400 million or 400 million monthly gap in barrels. That means your gas prices are going to continue to skyrocket. The thing that he's talking about right here, they can't even fix this problem. We have no ability to fix this problem. Now, I see Axe saying it too, and I've seen others, and I'm not covering it because I don't know enough about it, so I don't want to say definitively. But what I will say is that the people who seem to know a lot about this and a lot about how Iran is keeping the Strait of Hormuz closed, taking out their navy actually isn't going to fix this problem. You're going to need a land invasion. So what we're being told now is that unless we come up with some sort of ceasefire, a land invasion is imminent. We will have boots on the ground, and then we've got a problem, because then it's similar to Afghanistan. Like, you're fighting in the hills, you're fighting against people who've been preparing this their entire life. Do I think the U.S. probably can outlast them? Yes. Will there be a ton of casualties? Yeah. Will it be worth the money we spend? Absolutely fucking not. It'll be just like Afghanistan, just like Iraq. This is just pride at this point. This administration, I really do believe that the Trump administration thought they could come in, rock Iran like they did in the 12-day war, and then Iran would be like, all right, fine, ceasefire. But now Iran's like, and we'll get to this more tomorrow, but Iran is basically saying, we can't agree to a ceasefire because you guys aren't trustworthy. Every time we agree to a ceasefire or a negotiation, you just fucking bomb us anyway. So there's no point in us negotiating a ceasefire when we know just at any minute you and Israel are just going to start bombing us again, and then we have to regroup. So I don't know what the plan is here to get out of this. Let me read messages one more time before we get out of here, and then I will see you guys tomorrow. I got Jackie there. Caffeine said 420 said love you. Say it back, love you too, Caffeine. Thank you very much. You didn't even have to pay for Cameo for that one. That was a free I love you. Let me check with Jen real quick. If you send something to Jen and she didn't get it to you, I apologize. She's at a funeral, so she may not have got them in time. I think Lee said, I hope this helps prove to Jen that it's safe to leave you attended. I hope so too. We'll find out tomorrow if I make it tomorrow. Is any others? I think that's it. I got them. All right, everybody. We will be back tomorrow morning, every weekday morning, 9:30 a.m. to 1 Pacific Standard Time, right here, wherever you're watching. I don't know where we stand with TikTok, currently banned. So we may be back on TikTok. If you normally watch us on TikTok, probably plan on being here tomorrow for the last show of the week. Until I see you tomorrow morning, take care of yourselves. If you can't, go outside and touch grass. If you can't touch grass, smoke grass. If you can't smoke grass, good luck to you. I don't know what you're going to do. Be nice to each other. Be nice to your families. And if you can even be nice to MAGA for a minute. But everybody for being here, thank you. Thank you for the donations. Thanks for the engagement in the chat. Replays are available on YouTube and Twitch, as well as Spotify. You can catch me on Cameo if you want me to do any personalized videos. But until next time, take care of yourselves, stay cute and cool, and have a great summer.